He's just short, Marcus square, and Mitchell picks it up and burrows over, and I think he may have done it. Oh, he has! The celebrations are going to be in full swing in Tuggeranong.
Yeah, the club's ecstatic, mate. Yeah, everyone's sort of jumped on board, and yeah, I think everyone's sort of starting to rock up to training now and watch us train. It's a really good vibe around the club at the moment.
What was the feeling like when you went down to the ranks?
We were pretty disappointed because we started so well, and a few lapses in defence and attack as well. We were a bit clunky. It was disappointing, but at the end of the day, we finished on top, so we got a second chance. So it wasn't like bed in the coffin sort of thing. So yeah, no, we took a lot out of that loss and learnt on it, and we're still learning. This weekend should be good.
What about you? You've had an incredible season. You work around dummy half, recognised by all and sundry. So you're going to be targeted, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Hopefully not. Make it easy for me. That'd be nice. But yeah, no, it's as long as my forwards lay the platform, I can work off the back of that. It makes my job a lot easier.
So what it would need to your club, Tuggeranong, to win a grand final for the first time, do you think?
Oh, mate, I think the thing that meant everything to the club. I mean, we're not financially strong. I think that's the best thing about having both Southside teams in the grand final this year. Like, we're not financially strong, so it's good to see that. And I think that's the biggest thing. Why it would mean so much to the club, because of that financial situation, and about how hard the committee and that have worked to get that club where it is today. I mean, as I said before, two Southside teams. Like, it's a pretty big Southside rival down there. It's always a good game when we play against each other. I think last year we drew both games, and then this year we won one, and they've knocked us off twice. So no, it's good to see all Southside. I think Southside's all. Hopefully we get some fans there on the weekend, and it's a good crowd. It's unreal down there. It's unreal down there. Everyone's getting around the boys. We've got the 1996 team coming to present jerseys on the weekend, which is pretty special. Yeah, it's good hype around the club.
And you guys, do you take a bit of confidence out of the major semi-final against Tuggeranong, where you came from behind to win that one?
Yeah, 16-0 coming up to win the game at the end there. Yeah, full of confidence. We've got to be wary, we've got to respect the team that we're playing, but yeah, if everything goes our way, then there's no reason why we shouldn't come with the points.
Bushies had a pretty convincing win to get back through. Are you expecting them to take things up another notch?
Oh, for sure. It's grand final. Like, you start with the finals and you go up another level, and then by the end of it you're at grand final, and everyone's expected to play at a high level, and I think they have exceeded that, and we should be in for a good game.
How do you feel about the run that you've had, winning 12 in a row, undefeated through 12 games, heading into the grand final? It's incredible momentum, isn't it?
It is. It's it's great momentum. Like you said, 12 in a row, hopefully 13. It's what we needed. You'd rather that than have a couple of losses before coming into finals. Like I said, we've grown as a team, and it shows in our performances coming up into finals.
What would it mean for you personally if you were able to lift that trophy on Sunday evening?
Mate, yeah, it'd mean a lot, not just to me, but to the club and everyone around. It's been over 20 years since we've won it, and it's the biggest achievement in my football career so far. So hopefully I get there.
Good afternoon and welcome to Seaford Oval in Queanbeyan for this Canberra Raiders Cup Grand Final. The Ospreyers International Canberra Raiders Cup for 2018, the Grand Final today, and it is a very different looking Grand Final from anything we've ever experienced in the Canberra Raiders Cup, or indeed going back further to the Molonglo Shield or the Group 8 competition. It is the Woden Valley Rams in their first premiership decider since 1996. Up against the Tuggeranong Bushrangers in their first premiership decider since 2007. The Bushies have never won a title. The Woden Valley Rams, formed in 1967, have just 2 premierships to their credit. They're both in the deep distant past, 1988 and 1996. They had a swag of grand final appearances in there, but it's been a long time for them and it's never happened for the Tuggeranong Bushrangers. So how will this afternoon pan out? Well, we're going to find out over the next couple of hours. Chris Coleman is my name. It's great to have your company, as I've had all across the course of this 2018 Ospreyers International Canberra Raiders Cup campaign. Alongside me, as he has been for many weeks of this season, Sonny Singh. Sonny, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Chris. Good afternoon to everyone that's tuning in for what's going to be an absolute blockbuster of a grand final, I think.
This is going to be a belter, and if you ask me now who I reckon will win, and if you ask me again in about 5 minutes, I reckon my answers will be different, because I just cannot pick a winner in this one. It is too hard. We'll come to you with a few more details in a moment, but alongside me, I've been calling the Canberra Raiders games with on Mix 106 on local radio this season. Raider Nick, good afternoon to you and welcome to Seaford Oval.
Good afternoon, Chris Coleman. Good afternoon, Sonny. Thanks for having me, gents. And first of all, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And of course, yourself, Chris, and myself, my first Father's Day. But what a way to spend it in the beautiful field of Seaford Oval, of course. So much nostalgia at this field. And I haven't heard the Canberra Raiders Cup being the good old Molonglo Shield since the 90s, Chris and Coleman.
It's a long time ago, I remember those days, and we'll talk a little bit about that during the course of the afternoon. But Sonny, you've been casting your eye over this grand final as we lead into it, and there's plenty to talk about today.
Well, the scene's set and the curtain's about to raise on the 2018 Ospreyers Canberra Raiders Cup final, and what better way to see out the rugby league year here in Canberra than seeing the top 2 sides of the regular season facing off for one last time. As you mentioned, one of these sides hasn't tasted premiership victory since the late 90s, and the other are yet to experience it at all. So today the drought ends for one of these sides and the wait continues for the other. The Bushies, your minor premiers for 2018, they come into today having qualified last week with a convincing 22-0 grind over West Belconnen, and their opposition in waiting, the Woden Valley Rams, have enjoyed the week off. They've watched their opposition get roughed and towelled up, having secured their place the week before when they took out a win over these same teams. So for Woden, I mean, we'll go into a little bit about how their season has unfolded, but I guess the story for their season can be told with a reference to one date, and that's the 7th of May. Before that date, the Rams had lost 4 of their opening 5 games, and they'd lost 2 key players to injury, and from that day on, this side hasn't lost a match. They've gone 12 games unbeaten, they've got the second best attack and defence in the league, and they're the winner of this year's club championship. So under the direction and experience of former Canberra Raiders half Lincoln Withers, this side has just gone from strength to strength, and they go into today in red hot form, and given their most recent victory, probably as slight favourites.
Well, what I'm amazed by, and I looked at this a little bit earlier, is that this Woden side, as we mentioned, they started the season 1-4. They were 7th at that stage of the competition. They were 3 games outside of the top 8 at that stage of the season, and really could be forgiven. Could be forgiven for actually almost being written off at that stage. But since then, I've written it all down here. Round 6, and even then, you look at this. Round 6, they beat Gungahlin 34-20. Round 7, they had the bye. Round 8, they had a 48-22 win over Goulburn, and round 9, 68-6 over Belconnen United. Nothing to write home about there, because those are the 3 bottom sides in the competition. Then the run really ramped up. They beat Tuggeranong, had a draw with Queanbeyan Kangaroos. They beat Yass at Yass. They beat West Belconnen. They spanked the Blues 46-16. They came up against the bottom sides again in Gungahlin, Goulburn and Belconnen United, and taught them a lesson in no short order. I don't really think they've laid their premiership credentials on the table until the second semi-final, when they beat this Tuggeranong side 24-16. I mean, I saw the round 13 game against West Belconnen, where they won that 30-4, and I thought at that point, hello, this could be the premiership wild card. But even there, I still think they were more a wild card than a genuine grand final threat.
Well, I think they've snuck under the radar quite a bit this season. I think we've talked more about Tuggeranong and the credentials of teams like the Queanbeyan Roos, and this is the first grand final in, I think, since 2009 where we haven't had a Queanbeyan side competing in it. So it's a bit of a surprise to see 2 sides outside of Queanbeyan make the finals. But yeah, they've just gone under the radar, and it's been interesting. We heard Jeff Morgan speak about the grand final and the lead up to this week, and he did say a couple of weeks ago as well that he doesn't feel that the side has really put together an 80-minute performance as of yet, and he's probably right in that sense. And in the games that they've played since he made those comments, I still think that rings pretty true. So they still haven't put 80 minutes together, and they score a lot of their points in patches, but boy, when they do, they put on plenty.
That's true, that's true. Raider Nick alongside me, of course a graduate of Queanbeyan High, and Nick, a very different feel for you being a Queanbeyan boy. No Queanbeyan side involved in the decider.
Yeah, you're right there. Of course, 150 plus games for the Queanbeyan Kangaroos as well, mate. Queanbeyan boy coming through the ranks. I was here a long time ago seeing the Roos and the Blues playing those big games. But yeah, it feels a little bit absent having no Queanbeyan representation. Of course, we saw the Blues playing the reserve grade go down, and Westies in a bit of a nail biter there. But yeah, it feels a bit different. But you know what, Queanbeyan, they can't take all the silverware, gents. We've got to hand it over to someone else. But what an exciting afternoon we're going to see here. I'm excited to see someone like a good friend of mine, Lincoln Withers, 150 plus first grade games in the NRL. He's going to be the guy to lead the boys around the park, to be that old head for this team. And for the other side, Mick Picker also in a Raiders roster the last few years. And it's good to see those guys that haven't finished their careers after playing NRL, they've come back and they're injecting their experience and their skill in the bush footy.
If nothing else, to see two former Raiders halfbacks go head-to-head in Withers and Picker this afternoon, now that alone worth the admission price this
Absolutely, and it's what it's all about. And someone like Lincoln Withers, he's been there. He played for the West Tigers, the Dragons, the Raiders on occasions, and also a good stellar season overseas. This kind of ground, though, it's where it all started for him as an Arundel junior, as a Raiders junior. He'll know this ground like the back of his hand there, Jensen. I think what a great afternoon. Of course, 2nd of September, we're well into spring now. You know, we're not going to see much rugby league anywhere else in regards to over there at GO Stadium, but why not come down the ditch here at Queanbeyan to see some great football here at Seaford Oval? And if you're sitting at home and you're scratching your head thinking, what can we do this afternoon?
Get out. Come on.
Put Netflix down, put the remote down, jump in the car, bring your blanket and come out here and support local rugby league, because this is what it's all about. Grand final day. We can smell the barbecue in the air. I can't wait, gents. I'm excited.
Now, I was lucky enough to be allowed into both team rooms prior to the game today when the jerseys were being handed out. And I've got to tell you, in both those rooms, it was...
And your mother's in there?
Incredibly exciting. Well, there were plenty of mothers, actually, in the Tuggeranong rooms. The jersey... And it's interesting the two approaches taken as Tuggeranong get ready to come out. Tuggeranong, it was family and friends handing out the jerseys. And it was all about remembering where you come from, remembering who you represent as a Tuggeranong Bushranger. Had a quick chat with Justin Giddo. He said, the main thing I want to know, because they had a number of players who were a bit beaten up last week. I said, how fit are you? And he said, well, we're as fit as we can be going into a grand final, which is about all you can ask for as they make their way out onto the field now. For the Rams, and now they're heading out, being led out by their mascot. Completely different. They dug up some of their 88 premiership players and 96 players. They've had old past greats from this club come from far and wide, from as far afield as Darwin to be here today. They've travelled from all over, and it's about becoming the next custodians of the great traditions for the Woden Valley Rams. So those were the two approaches there. And I will say, having spoken to both coaches as well, Justin Giddo, he's wearing his Green Bay Packers cap, his lucky cap. Ash Barnes had probably, and I've called a lot of grand finals in a lot of sports over the years, but I don't think I've ever seen a man with as big a grin on grand final day when he's coaching one of the sides as Ash Barnes. He's just happy to be here. And I think if the relaxed attitude of the coach is anything to go by, Woden probably go in marginally as favourites. We're not too far off getting underway here, by the way, either. No mucking around. Oliver Levito, by the way, what is it, second grand final for him?
It is. It's his second consecutive grand final, so congratulations to Ollie for refereeing this game as well.
Should be a good one this afternoon, and we are not far off actually getting away. And oh, I'm excited. I don't get nervous before grand finals a lot. Let's get through these lineups really quickly. The Woden Valley Rams, I'll do then. Their fullback is Dane Spencer. On the wings, it's Lockie Everston and Cody Hodge. Mick Geiger and Josh Feeney, the centres. The 5'8", Sean Maloney. Halfback is Lincoln Withers. Across the front row, Ron Leopai, Adam Lucas, Tyson Hodge. Second rowers, Bradley Martin and Michael Gilmore. And the captain and lock is Jeffrey Morgan. With the Bushrangers, Sonny Singh.
Yes, lining up at fullback, Matthew Gruber. Levi Tuikakau, Francis Totu, David Fa'iti-Iti, Jaden Pollard retains his spot when he filled in last week on the wing. Jack Heyman and Mick Picker in the halves. Daniel Hickson, Joshua Mitchell, Noah Venesi up front. Jordan Martin, Atu Tupo and Liam Ockley line up in the second row. On the bench, Blake Murray, Fabian Antonio, Matthew Dragicic and Jamal Nachuki line up for the Bushies.
And we should mention a couple of changes on that bench from the advertised program. It's Blake Murray in 14, Matt Dragicic in 15, Jamal Nachuki in 16 and Fabian Antonio in 17 for the Tuggeranong Bushrangers, and they have first possession as they run to the northern end of Seaford Oval here, and they're just outside their own 20. And, well, they come through, and Gruber goes for a bit of a run. Takes a couple of the Rams players to put him down on his back. Geiger, one of them. Now we see Mitchell get involved. Just a little ball from him to Venisi, Noah Venisi. So this early minutes of a grand final, you can see sides win or lose grand finals in the first couple of minutes if there's nerves, but no sign of that from the Tuggeranong Bushrangers. The kick, it's an awkward one, bounces around a couple of times before it's retrieved. And the Rams, well, you can see there, just a little bit slow to get back. Spencer it was who took the ball for them. Some good support in defence there from Dan Hickson as he gets up for the Bushrangers. So they're really restricting, but now a bit of a run coming for the Rams now. About 20 out. It was Cody Hodge on that occasion. Oh, that's a high tackle. Nothing nasty about it. Bradley Martin just taken a little bit high. And Ollie Levito straight to the whistle. First penalty for the game.
Yeah, and we saw it a couple times last week where, Tuggeranong played, it was a death by 1,000 cuts last week against the Warriors. They didn't give them any opportunities to get out of their own end, and on this occasion a high tackle gives the Rams first opportunity at the Bushies line. Not
often you see a high tackle from behind, but that's what we got there. First real attacking run now for the Rams comes from Tyson Hodge. That's the 30-metre line you can see in front of him. Now it's Lucas. They go left. Withers pops it outside, finds Maloney, and Maloney straightens and runs. Tupou in the tackle, was our man of the match in the preliminary final game last week, Adu Tupou. Expecting a big game from him today. I tell you, Tuggeranong trying to slow down this Woden side. They've been very, very dangerous in attack across the course of the season. We'll have a look at some of those numbers as the afternoon goes by. That's Spencer now. So they're 10 out, about 5 to the right. They've got plenty in numbers. They give it to Martin. Martin just short of the try line. Last tackle, says the referee. Withers. Well, he was going for a high kick, but he's been contacted as he's made the kick. And as a result, gets absolutely nothing out of it. And it's Adu Tupou who fields the ball. Raider Nick, early thoughts.
Bit of Rams there, of course. Bit of nervous energy for such a big game. But we've got to admit, some of these players, these are some of the biggest games they'll ever play. Not all of them will make an NRL roster or a Super League roster, let's just say. So a big day, a big event for a lot of these players out there. Probably the biggest games in their lives. And I can tell you what, during the warm-ups, their managers will be reminding them, saying, make the most of this chance. It is a grand final. You mightn't play another one in any sort of form in your career. But both teams firing some shots, but geez, the Rams were quite polished out there in the first set.
They did indeed. I like Matt Gruber too. He's injecting himself into the play a lot. Yeah, so far, the Tuggeranong Bushrangers fullback. We saw him on that previous run. Got them out to the 30. Now they're outside the 40. As they continue to work it across to the right. And kicking over to the far corner again as we wait to see whether Dane Spencer can pick it up. That's not Spencer. That's Cody Hodge on the far side. There we go. They've both got rather streamlined haircuts. I think we'll call them that for the afternoon. And you can see one on the other. So Spencer's got a little bit more on top than Hodge, but they're both very, very shiny down the side. And that is Spencer taking the ball about 10 out from his own line. Tuggeranong up very quick in defence.
Just on that set, Chris, it was another good last tackle option there from Mick Picker. He's found ground twice with his 5th tackle options, and it's an important job for him today to stay in the game for 80 minutes. He's probably a little bit guilty in that major semi-final a couple of weeks ago of just fading in and out a little bit because he had a wonderful first half but seemed to go missing in the second.
That was Tyson Hodge on that previous run. Now we've got Ron Leapai. When he has a good game, this Rams side are very, very hard to stop. He really does lay a platform for them there in the front row. Gruber allows it to bounce, has to bounce a second time, and it almost gets away from him on the third as he stretches out the right hand, grabs it and gets up outside the 30. So a good field position for the Bushies. And David Fa'ete, got to say I'm a little bit surprised to see him out there today. He was, well, on virtually one leg last week, wasn't he, Sonny?
He might have been hitting some of Ruben Wickie's cover, I think, to get fit for this week.
And he's out there, as is his sideshow Bob hairdo. Now they're up over the halfway, the Bushrangers. Waiting for Mitchell in the play the ball. Slow play the ball. They're playing to Woden's hands as Picker. Goes for the kick, looks for the sideline and finds it. Raider Nick.
Tell you what, and that last play, a big teeth and easy for the Bushrangers, ran out of the line and tried to wind up one of those Rams. forwards, came out second best and slow to get back in the line. He doesn't look like he's in a good place at all, so we'll keep an eye on him as the trainers out there strapping him up right now. But as you both mentioned, both teams firing some shots at him early, expelling that nervous energy. But I think it's the likes of experienced men like the halfback for the Rams team, Lincoln Withers. He's the man you want, getting his hands on the ball a couple of times per set, putting in those kicks in the corners, and being the main player of this game of chess, what is Seaford Oval this afternoon.
I'll give you a heads up too. There'll be plenty of post-match interviews available by the Canberra Region Rugby League website in the days after this grand final. So just keep an eye on that one, because there's going to be plenty of those there. Now that's Mick Geiger. That's, I think, his first touch of the ball. They're not afraid to work it across the park. Bradley Martin takes it up to the 30 now. And again, they continue to work it to the right. Had a winger in space. Would have been Lachlan Everston in his bright blue boots. They didn't go to him. They've kept the ball more in the middle of the park, and Tyson Hodge gets a second go at it for this set of 6. And again, they're up over halfway. Leopai was ready for it, but instead they work it through Mick Gilmore. Gilmore turns. Oh, look at him go. Adds about 8 metres onto that after the tackle is made. Referee says the last. Maloney hangs onto the ball, puts a little grubber kick through.
I think we've got a little knock on here from Totu.
So that's on the Maloney. I think you can actually chalk that up to Maloney. Going for the grubber kick there. He just held up for a moment, went for a couple of steps. And so he drew the defence forward. You'll see it here. Comes in, picks it up off the pass, holds onto it for a couple of steps, and yep, because he's actually held onto it for a couple of steps, it was Totu in the distinctive headgear there, was just caught a little bit off balance by that. I think he thought that maybe the running play was coming on that last one.
Well, it's a heads-up play. It was a good quick play the ball, and from there the dummy half, it did well to just scoot out a dummy half and pick up a couple extra metres before the little grubber went through. And yeah, a little bit unfortunate for the Bushies there, and they're going to have to defend their line.
They are indeed. Well, we saw them have to do that a bit last week, Sonny, so it'll be a tough ask for them. But again, at the same time, it's a different equation for them this week compared to last week. Scrum taking a bit of time to pack down here.
Well, we haven't really had much of a chance to preview Tuggeranong, and if we talk about them, up until a month ago, their season and improvement over the past few seasons were a model of consistency. You know, they were defensively impenetrable, and they're so methodical in attack. And over the last few weeks, I don't know what exactly has changed, but whether they've gone from being the hunted to being the hunted, they've started to struggle with the expectation a little bit, and it's strange to think that the minor premiers limped into the finals.
It is, and they had sort of fits and starts through the course of the season. I'll talk more about that later as we see Maloney having a go now. Pops one out the back door, and I think that's been taken by Mick Picker. It has. It's been picked off by Picker, to use the baseball terminology. So the Bushrangers, they get out of jail, and now let's just go back a little bit more analysis on their season so far. They started 3-1. Then they lost to West Belconnen, and that was a game we had on Bar TVs. They've lost the ball here. Oh, jeez. That was an awful game, and I've spoken about that game enough, I think, in recent weeks. But that was their first. The first loss was it was round 5, so they'd won 3, had a bye, lost to West Belconnen, then they won 4, then they lost to Woden, then they won 4. But that took us to round 16. They lost to Gungahlin, massive upset, bottom side, and lost or near to the bottom side, 22 points to 12. Lost at Sears Workwear Oval to the Queanbeyan Kangaroos, 44-6. They had a win in round 18, but they lost in the second semi-final. So their last 5, they've had 2 wins and 3 losses, but they're still in the grand final and they're still the minor premiers. Well, it was probably that Gungahlin game that was the turning point in their form guide. If you remember that game, it was the case of coming up against a side that really just were willing to just throw the ball around and promote a lot of second phase football. And they didn't really seem to have much in terms of A, how to defend it, and B, how to chase down a lead. And it's been a worry for them over the last couple of weeks when they have gone behind. There's Withers at dummy half now, pops it across to Bradley Martin. Martin's about 4 out, 2 out now, as he's lost the ball forward in there now. Has he dropped it or has it been stripped? It's been stripped out, says the referee. So that's a penalty, so we'll come back to the 10-metre line. Here we go. Woden, very dangerous in set plays from close range, and this is one of the ones they will be hanging out for. What have they got? A little bit of a run-around play. They give it to the fullback in Spencer, and it's not Spencer, that's Hodge, rather. Gee, there's 3 of them with the ball down the side job. It's going to be fun to try and pick those apart through the afternoon. Ball goes onto the deck. And now it's with Spencer as he runs it back across. He goes towards the post. He's still on the 10-metre line. He's going sideways and sideways. He's going to run out of the stadium in a minute. He goes to ground. He's finally slung to ground in there by Jamal Nachuki. He's one of the defensive key players for the Bushrangers. But they're pretty well back where they started now, the Rams. as they push it forward through Bradley Martin. They are exactly where they were about 4 tackles ago now. Long ball. Looking to get in under the post. It's 3-on-1. Nothing doing there. Noah Venisi in with the tackle, as is David Fa'ete. Now it's Lucas at dummy half. Pops it out the back. Mentioned this man being dangerous before in Ron Leapai, and I reckon he might have got that down. He has! Well, I don't know how he's managed to do that. We'll have to check this on the replay, but he's come through. I mean, momentum's a great thing for him, but I thought there's no way he's going to get that down. I reckon they're going to hold him up, but he's just hit it and hit it very, very hard. And Ron Leapai, during the season, it was 5 tries. You'll see this, he just comes in, he's got some speed up. Sonny Singh.
Yeah, it's just a good, hard run by a forward. Nothing more than that. Simple football at its best.
10 minutes in, first try of the day. Raider Nick, what do you reckon?
That's how you use your forwards, boys, coming back on the inside. Look, the first set, of course, we mentioned the Rams are very polished in their first attacking set. The last 2 kind of broke down, but I think the situation is when you're coming off 12 straight wins, winning becomes a habit. You want to get that early try to get that early buffer of confidence, and the Rams have done that quite successfully. But what a start with the big prop busting over the line, took 4 would-be tacklers with him. And, of course, the Rams were playing front this afternoon. A team that play well in front. I don't think they've lost too many from in front, gents.
No, once they're in front, they're very hard to head down. I mean, their points through the course of the season, they came in at 32.4 points per game. Tuggeranong, by the way, no slouch, at 30.3. And they're the second and third best attacking seeds in the teams in the competition. Best defence in the comp is Tuggeranong. Second best defence in the comp is Woden, as we see the conversion from Lincoln Withers straight over. But yeah, there's nothing between these sides. But yeah, Woden, they're very good at running up scores, and indeed did so in their last few games. 62 points against Belconnen, 38 against Goulburn, 46 against Queanbeyan Blues in round 14. So plenty of points in this Woden side.
Absolutely, and we know with this Woden side in that last semi-final against Tuggeranong, it was 26 unanswered points. They were 16-0 down after half an hour in that game, and it was a freakish Dane Spencer try off the back of a kick return. As we see a fumble off the kickoff, it goes backwards, but it was a freak Dane Spencer try that really sparked the Rams into action in that game.
Well, Dane Spencer, you mentioned him there, and then he takes the ball out to the 20 off the kickoff. Didn't panic when he knocked that ball down, and did knock it backwards, so nothing for them to worry about. And now they get out to their own 30. That's Tyson Hodge. They've got to settle just a little bit here. The Rams now Leapai, the try scorer. And you can tell that try scorer, that's given him a lift. Look at him, he just barges in and takes the ball out to the 40. And now a gap opens up. And they're up over the halfway line, and indeed 10 metres into opposition territory, courtesy of Jeff Morgan. Across to the right, Withers. Ball goes high. Now this will be a difficult one for Grubu because there's players coming at him, but he makes it look easy in the end. And indeed almost gets through. Takes 3 Rams to bring him down. He got there. Now taking it for a run is Jaden Pollard.
It's a great set after points, Chris. Just get to your last tackle, put it up high, and get them starting from outside their own end. Livanai
Tua the cow. We've checked the pronunciation between last week and this week, and he's always taken a nasty bump, but he's okay. Just took a moment to regain his composure. And now it's Francis Totu taking them up over the 40-metre line. This is Tuggeranong. We've talked about this a few times, that when they do get a roll on, they've kicked early in the count here and they've kicked straight at Lockie Everston, but when they do get a roll on early in the count, they do start to make some metres very, very quickly. Everston scored a great try for this Woden side at Walker Park in Yass. In fact, he scored 2 tries all season, both of them at Walker Park in Yass, and they were both pretty good.
Yeah, he's very highly rated, Lockie Everston. We had a chat with some people within the clubs this week, and he comes very, very highly recommended as an upcoming talent in this Woden side.
Mick Geiger with the ball for the Rams. Raider Nick.
As we approach that 20-minute mark, gents, the Rams looking to make an interchange. I tell you what, walking to the ground on the way here, I walked through the Rams huddle and saw the number 16 for the Rams, Junior Moala, mate. Yeah. He's a big specimen. Those legs, Coleman, you could dead set screen a film off him.
He's a big boy. That was Maloney on that run. It comes back to Withers. Withers with the kick on the 30. They're working it towards the south. Oh, gee, the southwestern corner of the ground. Yeah, that's the southwestern corner, and it almost paid off. There a little bit of confusion in the back line for the Tuggeranong side, but they've got the ball out to the 10 now. That was Pollard again. Game not being played at frenetic pace at the moment. It's more, I guess, the thinking man's grand final at the moment. Haven't seen as much as we usually would from Mitchell either. He's just really playing it just short balls off the ruck.
Well, I think the Rams have settled into this game a lot quicker than the Bushies have. The Bushies have made a couple of mistakes, given away a couple of penalties, and the Rams have kept them down their own end.
That's David Fayette. And as I say, we haven't seen a lot from Mitchell. He goes for a run, just a little one before he palms it off for the kick. Spencer lets it bounce. I saw in the women's tackle game earlier this afternoon, a fullback let the ball bounce and it bounced the completely wrong direction, fooled everyone except for the charging attackers, and there was a try scored off it. So beware the bouncing ball. That's Everston now for the Rams. And now it's with Cody Hodge. It's a simple game plan that this Rams side are running with. Bradley Martin now. Again, they just keep working it up the middle and up the middle. Brings their wingers into play later in the afternoon. They've had a couple of really freakish tries scored by their wingers during the course of this season. Tyson Hodge. Yep. And Withers again, kicking from just outside the 40. It's a wobbly old kick. Pollard underneath it. Oh, I don't like the technique, but he's managed to hang on to it. He's just caught it in the end of his fingertips there, Ray. And Nick, you would have caught a few of those in your time.
Oh, well, I tell you what, I think the coach just took a massive gulp there. This modern-day footballer, plenty of confidence, and the one-hand return carry. I bet you the coach will having a word to him. And speaking of the coaches, Ash Barnes, he'll be putting out that call to say, look, we've had all the possession in this first half, but it's well and truly good to have that possession. But if you're not converting into points, especially in a grand final, it's pretty much useless. Well, it is 6-0, and we're about 16 minutes into the Osbrokers International Canberra Raiders Cup. Thank you to Bloomer's Personal Injury Lawyers for our stream sponsorship this afternoon as well, and great to have had you on board through the course of the season. Now, that's Francis Totu going for a bit of a run. He's lost the ball, it's popped up, and Lincoln Withers taps it back towards his own line, so Woden will come up with it. It's picked up by Jeff Morgan. Morgan wrapped up in a tackle by Livanai the Cow, but Woden, oh, gee, that's pretty ordinary from Tuggeranong to not wrap up Cody Hodge. They should have had him there, but instead second tackle for, actually only be first, won't it, because it was the knock on in there. So they really are in a good position. Tuggeranong, they're up very, very quickly. Ollie Levito keeping a good 10 metres, which is all well and good until you get someone like Ronnie Leapai going full steam, which is what they had to contend with there, and now they're 35 out directly in front of the post. They'll work it to the right. It comes to Withers. Withers kicks on the fourth tackle for mine. It's into the corner. Oh, look out, there's Everston. He tries to just turn it back on his inside, but he winds up in the end tangling the ball up between his own feet, and it'll be the Tuggeranong Bushrangers who'll come up with the scrum feed. Something different there from the Rams going for the early kick. Well,
he's pulling the strings for this Rams side, Lincoln Withers, and like I mentioned before, we had a chat to some of the people within the clubs. We spoke to Phil Watts, the secretary of the Bushrangers, and Steve Hicks, the president of Woden Valley, and the common theme between the two sides was just how big an impact the halves have had on this squad and their halves partners this season.
Right, Nick.
Look, as Sonny just said, look, missed experience there. Lincoln Withers putting the kick in the corner. You can tell all the ascendancy being claimed by the Rams at the moment. They're playing it down this end. To me, gents, the Bushrangers look a little bit flustered, a little bit flat. Their forwards are hands on hips running back in the line. You'd want to get some interchanges starting to flow a little earlier than usual in this game.
It's the Bushrangers now trying to bring the ball out from their own end of the park. And that was Jamal Nachuki having a go, and now we've got a bit of push and shove.
Yeah, we've got a touch judge who's running as well.
So we'll wait and see. I believe at home you can hear the referees. We don't have that advantage this afternoon. Nothing in that, but I think just going from the gestures. Which way is it going to go? I reckon it might be going the Rams' way. Bit hard to tell. Trying to read all his body language. Touch judges this afternoon, by the way, Andrew Nightingale and Tyson Flynn. We should mention them. Congratulations to the officials. Someone's been kicked out here, so the touch judge has got somebody singled out. Who's he looking for? Oh, he's okay. That's a Tyson Flynn trademark there. Let's get the water boy off. We've seen that a couple of times when Tyson's had the whistle during the course of the year. I don't know if you know Tyson at all, but he is renowned for sending water carriers off during the course of games.
I think Ollie's done it a few times as well this year. He's had to send the trainers off the field and just get on with business.
I hope Todd Greenberg's watching. Do a few of those blokes in the NRL. But you don't really see the touches come on the field this day and age, but if it has to be done, it looks like this penalty's going to go to the Rams.
Well, it's a grand final to take the two, wouldn't you?
To give away possession with the football at this level, that's a coach killer, especially with all the ascendancy going to the Rams team. As you mentioned, this will be a give 2 points to go 8 clear, a bit of a cushion going into the first quarter. But by the looks of it,
they're going to play. Well, they're up by 6.
Play on. Here we go.
They are at close quarters. They're in the red zone from a set play. And Tyson Hodge takes them to the 10 on the first. Now it's Morgan on the second, and they're only 2 metres out. Make it 1 metre out as he lunges forward after the tackle is made. Lucas at dummy half, pops it out the back to, I think that might be Geiger in there. Geiger is sliding forward. It is Geiger. He slides forward and put another 4 on the Geiger counter. It's his 8th try for the season, and it's 10-0 to the Rams.
Well, it's a carbon copy of the first try. It's just a good, strong run from, on this occasion, one of the centres. And to get over from that close range, well, some question marks over this goal line defence so far for the Bushies.
They look a little bit tired, which is hardly surprising. Mentioned it before, as we just see the replay. There was about 4 players that they could have gone for there. That's just pure numbers. And it makes it very hard to defend, Ray and Nick, when you've got to try and work out which one of these 4 guys who's running at us is going to get the ball here.
Absolutely. Plus the mental game of having to finally get your hands on the football after defending a couple of sets, and then to turn it over with the penalty, with the possession of the ball. That's a coach killer. And to do that in the grand final, that's a double banger, and 10 points to 0 after 20 minutes. Wonder what the conference at the moment is happening there in the huddle there at the Bushrangers, because they'll be in panic stations now. And a team like the Rams, you mentioned, they're hard to pin back after a lead, 12 straight. Winning's a habit for them. They're tasting blood here. They're tasting their hands on the trophy. They're going to be hard to pin back. They just need to get their hand. They need some quality possession with the Bushrangers. They've got to get to their kick, reset the score, 0-0 score, get down there and get that strong defensive line and defend their way back in the game.
Yeah, sorry,
No,
Chris,
go.
you've nailed it 100%. You know, that we're talking 20 minutes into the game and they've already dropped the ball 3 times and had 3 penalties conceded. So yeah, you're 100% right. They've just got to hold onto the ball and start working their way through some sets.
Well, instead of being frustrated and throwing punches in the ruck, you've got to put that in defence, put that in your shoulder, run out of your line, and one of these guys have got to lead an example, because you can easily defend. All it takes is 1 or 2 big hits to lift your team, and it's got to be done.
What Tuggeranong need is to get a good set, get down there and try and get a repeat set out of it. But first things first, they've got to deal with Woden on this set. That was Bradley Martin. Oh, now that's
the
what
one.
you need.
That's the one we're looking for.
Yeah, the 2 Big Tens. Tyson Hodge up against Noah Vanisi, and I think we can give the points to Vanisi on that, as we see Maloney saying, well, if the forwards can't do it, I'll do it as the 5/8. Scurries sideways and gets to the 30 on the 3rd tackle. And then up and over the top goes Mick Gilmore. Slow play the ball. Leapai over the 40. But they get to him in numbers this time. But again, he just pushes and gets them almost to halfway. But this is the last tackle. So where's Withers? Withers is on this side. Ball comes to him. He'll kick from just inside his half. And he decides to try and get it over Gruber. But Gruber is wise to the play. Gets to the 20. Has no real option. Has to run straight at the line of Woden Valley Rams. This is a crucial set here, I think, for the Bushrangers. They need to show that they've got something here. As Jordan Martin, well, he's used as a ladder there, as we see him climbed rapidly. And he goes to ground. No malice in it, just one of those tackles that went a little bit high. I can tell you the tackler in there, in Brad Martin, he's got his left knee strapped and he's just limping a little bit, one to keep an eye on. But the Bushrangers, now they're a chance to do something here, because they start this set on their halfway line. Off the bench, it's Matt Dragicic having his first touch of the ball. Now it's Noah Vanisi. Here we go. This is more like the Tuggeranong Bushrangers side we've come to know this season. Mitchell at dummy half. Pops it outside. Gets it to Dan Hickson, and Hickson spins and keeps moving in the tackle. They're so hard to stop because they do really just force a way to keep moving in the tackles. Now it's with Picker. Picker goes out the outside, finds Fa'aete. He's popped it over to Totu. Totu runs back around behind a couple of players. Video referee would be pinging him in the NRL for that. He pops it out the back now, finds Mitchell. Mitchell is second involvement for the play. He's found somebody on the outside. It winds up with Tuatha. And Tuatha on the far wing at the 10. Now it's Fa'aete. Fa'aete still going. He looks to push it through. He's about 2 metres short. This will be the last tackle. Mitchell, Picker. Picker's kick rebounds and goes backwards. Now, this will be interesting. Was this played at, or is it just a straight rebound? No, it wasn't played at. They've kept it alive. They've knocked it on. Mick Picker doing what he had to do to try and pick it up. He's turned around, he was facing the other way, he's knocked it on, and so suddenly Tuggeranong go from being 2 metres out on the far side of the field on the last tackle to a handover on the 40-metre line for Woden. Bizarre stuff always happens in football, and we've got a stoppage in play here with a Bushrangers player down. Just check this. The kick comes out. You've got to feel for Mick Picker here, because there's the attempted pick it up, and he gets it okay. I think it was Hickson down on the deck, and he's passed it back to Picker, who was facing the wrong way, and he's had to try and do something, and it's just come off the unprepared hand. Right to Nick.
That was a tough call, and geez, rugby league can be a cruel game. They defended their backsides off to get there on the back of the penalty. Great field position, looking for that repeat set, but the rugby league guides had shone on the Rams. I thought he played at that. Very unlucky to get that call, and unfortunately Picker couldn't pick that one up.
I'll tell you what, they had to go left there because I think it was Bradley Martin was in all sorts of trouble on his goal line. He was not able to move laterally at all.
Well, the holes are in there, as we saw in that set. A couple of players there busted through. The holes are there, they're beatable. They just got to hold on the footy and work harder in defence.
As we said, they need to engineer a repeat set somehow, this Bushrangers side, which will give them some sort of a chance. But right now it's been all Woden, and now it's with Ronnie Leapai, and Leapai goes for the dummy. Hangs on to the ball, and again, he went to throw that dummy on the 40, and he's made another 5 metres. Has there been a tackle yet where he hasn't made ground?
Well, I'll tell you what, Ron Leapai and Tyson Hodge, they're halfbacks playing in prop forward bodies, because I tell you what, they fancy themselves with their offloads, as we see another one now.
Tom Robertson, he makes 15 metres, and he's about 8 metres out. They've got a couple of tackles up their sleeves here, the Rams. They're calling for a quick play of the ball. They don't get it. Lucas finds Maloney. Maloney runs back through the traffic. He looks for the line. He looks for the ground. I reckon he's either been held up or pushed back into the field of play. Just pushed back in. There's only inches in it. You can see it on your screen. Kick comes through from Withers. That might have been a knock on. It's been knocked on to Lucas. Lucas has grounded the ball. And the referee says it's try time. 3 tries in the first half for the Woden Valley Rams, and they must be starting to feel very, very confident. I can tell you their fans on the halfway line on the other side of the ground are starting to go absolutely berserk. But gee, if what can go wrong does go wrong for the Tuggeranong Bushrangers, Sonny.
Just another heads-up play out of dummy half, you know. Saw an opportunity, as we see the replay here from Lucas. Puts a little grubber in, gets a fortunate ricochet, but very aware to pick the ball up and score in the end. And a bit of fortune favours the Rams on that occasion, but you make your own luck in this game.
Well, you do. What do you reckon about that one, Raider Nick? That's, as Sonny just said, sometimes you've got to be lucky.
Well, you've got to be lucky, of course. The Bushrangers were unlucky in that last play, losing possession, and an 80-metre set for the Rams to get down to the other end, and then just an unlucky slip there from the defender. And the hooker, Johnny on the spot, picks up the lollies and plants it over the line to put his team 16 points to nil. From this will be 18-0. I tell you what, this could be catastrophic now for the Bushrangers to concede any kind of a point, whether it's a penalty or a try. It could be very catastrophic. And as we mentioned on occasions this game, the Rams love playing from in front, hard to pin back. Plus, with all that confidence, all that momentum after the last 12 games, they're in pole position to be the premiers for sure.
This Rams side, they really do know how to rack up the points, and they're starting to do it now. Withers, easy conversion. There haven't been any hard ones for him yet. One about 5 metres to the left of the uprights, and the other two within 5 metres on the right, and it's 18 blot. 15 till the break here on Bar TV. Osbrokers International Canberra Raiders Cup Grand Final for 2018. Live from Seaford Oval, Chris Coleman, Sonny Singh and Raider Nick with you. Half-time, Nick, we might talk about the one more game of football that's still to come here at Seaford Oval.
Absolutely.
In 2018. It is going to be an absolute belter, but that's to come up in about 15 minutes. As right now, they need something here, the Tuggeranong side. I'll say this, they're showing plenty of enterprise in defence as they got all over Michael Geiger there and tried to push him towards the sideline. It was a little bit optimistic. They would have had to lift him and take him about 15 metres, and I suspect even the harshest of referees would have said, no, I've called held somewhere in there. That was Robertson on the follow play. Now pushed back with Michael Gilmore. And that's Jeff Morgan on the run. So I really like what Woden have done on every set after they've scored. They've just settled down. They have not let it be absolutely carried away. They've just been able to just come in and just run it and play very sensible football. Now, a bit of pressure on the kicker there. Withers, as he kicked him inside the 40, it bounces down towards the 40, the 30, before it finally stops. It's picked up by Levi Tuathacau. And Tuathacau, he's wrapped up very quickly. Gee, Woden were up fast, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, their line speed, you just look at them now, you know, they're all rushing up very quickly, and they're just keeping Tuggeranong inside their own half. They're not giving them any sort of piggybacks to get out of trouble. And I mentioned last week with the Tuggeranong game against West Belconnen, they were so good at just strangling West Belconnen out of the game. They didn't try anything flash. They just kept them down their own end, no penalties, no errors, and just ground out a victory in the end. But so far today, they're just not giving themselves any sort of chance with drop balls and penalties, and they've got to work their way back into this game by playing simple football. It was the second half where they really came alive last week, as we see Blake Murray come through for a kick that he actually turns into a pretty decent sort of kick in the end. It's picked up by the Rams by Spencer, and he gets in underneath, and he's only out to about his own 20. But it was really that second half for Tuggeranong last week that got them through to the grand final. The first half, their defence was good, but their attack was nothing really to write home about. Everston brings the ball into the middle of the park, and again, I really like that about Woden. They just like working it up the middle of the park, as Josh Feeney continues to do so. I'm not sure if Robertson was quite ready for that ball, but he still managed to hang on to it, and he's lost it in the tackle. Now, which way is that going? That's going to be a penalty. Oh, gee.
No, it's a scrum.
No, it's a scrum.
Well, there you go. I thought he called the first arm movement from Ollie. I thought was a strip, but he was saying it was a knock on. So there you go. We'll catch it on the replay. And Robertson never had a real handle on that. And let's have a look. It comes out. Yeah, it just comes out when it hits the ground. So he never really got to hang on to it.
That's the right call, but you speak about opportunities now. They've been down here twice this whole half, the Tuggeranong Bushrangers. They're going to make the most of this opportunity. If they can't get points this set, at least try and generate a repeat one. They get a penalty, and that'll help. Chris, you said at the start of the game you hadn't seen a differential penalty in a while. You've just seen another one.
We saw one in one of the earlier games today. Now we get one today. They're not quite as rare as hen's teeth, but they're not exactly the most common thing. Aru Tupou has a good run there. So they're just outside the 20. They'll get into the red zone on this tackle now with Fabian Antonio. He's a great shock value weapon off the bench for them. Now they're 15 out. Murray in at dummy half. Turns it outside, finds Tupou, and he's lost the ball. So, but hang on. That's been called a strip, so they'll get another penalty. Here we go. Tuggeranong, a chance to actually supply some sustained pressure now at Seaford Oval. A chance to strike back. They really would like to have points. You don't go into a grand final at half-time 18 points down with any great confidence. So they come back. They've got to play it. They can't just take the 2. 2 points is useless for them. They've got 11 till the break. This is Tupou again. Tupou pushes and pushes. If you didn't catch him in the post-match interview last week, lost a nephew. The family did about a week and a half ago. He's named after him, and he's playing his football in memory of his nephew. I think that's Matt Dragicic, is it? It is. And he's over into the in-goal area as he's lost the ball.
It's not a penalty.
Well, it's got to be. I reckon he must have been called held in there somewhere along the line. So we'll come back to the 10. Oh, going at absolutely full tilt was Fabian Antonio. Has he held onto the ball? He has. Murray at dummy half turns it around. And again, it's Tupou. Tupou. Well, they've decided to go through the forwards now. It's a very loose carry. He's hung on to it. Just short of the line. Over to the right they go. Couple of long balls. Is that Heyman? It is. And now another penalty. Okay, now that's by my reckoning 4 or 5 penalties. 4. Sonny's keeping tally.
That's 5. 5 overall, but 4 in a row in quick succession.
And all have come inside the 10-metre line. In the NRL, we'd be seeing players in the bin. We can't be far off that. Picker goes and goes and goes, and he's over the 0 line, over the goal line.
They got to get something.
Flat on his back, and he's back out to the 10. I don't think that one's a penalty.
He's held up.
He's just been held up, and they'll come back to the 10.
Just while we've got a break in play, we see Josh Mitchell has gone off the field, and we've got I think it's Blake Murray that's moved to hooker, and Heyman will stay at half.
We're seeing Murray a lot at dummy half as he's thrown a wild speculator out the back door, and it bounces around before it's finally picked up on the 20-metre line. And it's hard to tell who that is because he's got his jersey almost pulled up over his head. And they work it across to the right. There was Oakley. There's a player we've hardly called today, Liam Oakley. All right, Blake Murray in at dummy half again. They go across to the right and keep on working there. Now it's with Gruber. Gruber out the back door to two of the count. Ducks under one tackle. And don't tell me he's done a freakishly good try again. No, he's just He's just lost that, hasn't he?
Got a penalty, double movement.
Oh, it's double movement. Because it was him last week, wasn't it, who scored that miraculous try. There was the kick that came across field last week. If you weren't watching it, it's worth checking it out on the video. We'll just wait and see as he comes in here. So the little ball out the back from Gruber onto two of the cow. He ducks under one tackle, goes to ground, and, well, it's a double movement. I've seen those given as tries too on occasion.
Yeah, I think it's his ball-carrying arm that touches the ground first, and there's already a player hand on him, so...
Well, that was 4 or 5 penalties they've just defended there, the Rams. A total shutout.
Ball's
in
come
possession,
free here.
as that's another penalty. And a team, of course, chasing points. Catch-up football in a grand final just adds more anxiety to your attack. And to have that temptation to get the ball over the line, they're desperate for points. This is catapult into a penalty. And now all of a sudden the Rams, if they can get a really good set here and get some more points, it could be good night, Charlie, already.
And it looked very clunky, that set in attack, or a couple of sets in attack on their goal line, and that's been a criticism we've had of the Bushies throughout the last couple of weeks, that they don't have a plan B when the structure doesn't work.
Well, Sonny, you mentioned at the start of the game, like Mick Pickett seems to be asleep at the wheel at times. He's going to get the ball in his hands on every single occasion. He's going to scream at his team, guide them around, tell them whether he wants them, because at the moment they look a little directionless, the Bushrangers.
Woden popped the ball out the back. Spencer was back to try and pick it up, but it's gone to Maloney. And he's absolutely poleaxed just inside the 40-metre line in the attacking territory for the Rams. Gone to the bench of the Rams with a couple of players. Now Junior Moala.
It might be his birthday today as well, Junior Moala.
There's a sign on the far side. We've got to talk about those at some stage. There's a sign on the far side that says that wishes him a happy birthday.
It might be his big thighs.
He hasn't been to the barbers for the birthday, I can tell you. He's got the knot, the man bun on top of his head. Now that was Spencer with the play of the ball. In a dummy half was Hicks and Withers with the kick over to the far side of the park. It's bounced around, it's been juggled. Now there might have been a little bit of a bobble forward in there, but that's not how it's being called by the referee. We'll wait for the video on this, because if this is a try, well, it is a try. It's been given.
He's given it.
Well, I'm with you on this, Chris. My first inclination was that there was a touch here from a Rams player. We'll have a look at the replay here. Another great kick from Lincoln.
It hangs. That's...
Yeah, I think...
Oh, gee, well... I don't know. I don't know. It'll be in the books as a try. In the Canberra Times tomorrow, it'll be a try. And right now on the scoreboard, it's 22 blot with 6 minutes remaining.
They'll be hoping, they'll be praying this kick doesn't go over. I tell you what, the Bushrangers, 22 points to 0. It's been all the Rams. They're claiming the ascendancy. The bounce, the rugby league bounce of the ball's going their way. And if Withers can pile this one between the posts, they'll need to score more than 4 times. It's going to be a massive task. Not an impossible one. It's going to be interesting to see Justin Giddo, what he can dish up and deliver to his team at half time, because they need something. They need a miracle.
Tell you what, he's taken this kick out a fair way, Lincoln Withers.
Well, it's opening up the goalposts. Why not? You're already 3 tries up. You might as well give yourself every chance to get it over.
Could be already in Man Monday mode. Good old Lincoln.
He could have taken it out another 10. He's got that through almost 3/4 of the way up the post. He's 4 from 4 today. And the try going in the books to Cody Hodge. I don't think we actually mentioned that on the way through. Apologies. I was realising that none of us had actually given the credit in there. We were far too concerned about where the ball had bounced around. But it's 4 tries and 4 conversions. The Bushrangers yet to trouble the scorers. And there's 5 minutes till half time. And now, well, it wasn't panic stations before. It would be almost that now for the Bushrangers. They need to get something in the books at the moment. That was Robertson on the first run for the Rams. And gee, they just look good right across the park at the moment. I think if you're going to try and pick, the best players from either side for this grand final, I reckon at the moment you'd be 1 through 13. You'd be saying they're all Woden Valley Rams.
Absolutely, yeah. We haven't seen enough from the big name players from the Bushies. Somebody like Atu Tupo, who in past games again, between these two sides, he's been so dynamic on this left edge, but we haven't seen a lot of him, and it might be down to the fact that the Bushies just haven't had a lot of quality ball.
Actually, you said down the left edge for the danger for the Bushrangers. The game's hardly been played on this side of the field. Tuggeranong have been forced to play it over on the other side, which is perhaps their weaker side. Another bomb from Withers. Gruber takes it on the 10. What can he do? Well, he can go about 5 metres before Geiger and Bradley Martin get together and bring him down. Ooh. Ball comes out the back. Now Gruber's down. Gruber's down, and he's down bad. Someone's grabbed him very, very quickly, so he's taken a really nasty knock here.
Some concern as well from the Rams players.
That
great sportsmanship there.
That ball's come out the back very, very quickly because I suspect he's completely out cold. He's rolling over, he's moving, but that seems to be, that's just a player recovering consciousness at the moment. That's horrible.
It was good awareness from his teammates to turn him on his side there as well.
That's the idea, the game plan. Of course, Lincoln Withers putting bombs down there. They've been targeting Gruber.
And Gruber had nowhere to go. You can see here this Woden defence has been up and in all day, and
it's a head clash.
It's just a head clash. He's the top of his head onto the chin of, I reckon it's Bradley Martin. We'll see it one more time.
Bang.
It's Martin. It's the chin onto the top of his head, and then his head's hit the ground, and the whiplash on the way down as well. And oh, that's just unfortunate. He's up now.
He has to come off, surely.
Well, you'd think so.
Well, he'd be in last week at the moment. He'd be that far back. That was an ugly shot, but I tell you what, it's all about character now for the Bushies. Down 24 points to nil, minor premiers all year round. It's a total test of character, what they can do in the last 3 minutes of this first half, and what kind of inspirational message the coach gives them at half time, because they need something to go their way, and wow, he's going to play the ball and stay on.
Got to say, what a game Lincoln Withers has had so far. He's just directed play beautifully for this Rams side, and he hasn't done anything spectacular, and that's been the theme for his year. He hasn't done anything spectacular. He's just doing the little things right.
Well, I'll tell you what, Lincoln might as well sweep up the whole change rooms and drive the bus home. He's done everything in this first half, and you talk about player of the match. So far, it's shining on him.
Well, if you speak to people within the club, they'll tell you he still thinks he's a 31-year-old playing halfback. So he's about 6 years older than that, but...
here we go.
Tupou.
Go Tupou. Who's he got? He's got Gruber on his outside. I wouldn't pass it to him because he might not actually see the ball for about another 4 days. Instead, he takes the tackle. About 30 out there, spread out across to the left. Now it's with Oakley. Liam Oakley showing no regard for his own safety. Straight into Tom Hicks. Very slow play of the ball. Murray at dummy half. Now it's with Picker. Picker, the kicker, puts it in towards the corner, and it's been fielded again by the defence for the Rams, and they're on their way now through Cody Hodge, and Hodge, he's brought to ground. Tupou, not content with just setting up the attack, then goes in on the defence as well. I would have liked to see something else. I would have liked to see him spread the ball across to the left. They had numbers over this side there, Sonny, the Bushrangers.
They had them absolutely shot on that right side, and I thought for sure Mick was going to put it through the hands and go down that right side, but put in a pretty ordinary kick in the end, and again, it's just the difference between the two halves at the moment.
Yeah, that was see that tackle there. Sorry, just see that tackle there as the Rams pushed back again. So the Tuggeranong side, well, they're throwing everything at it for the last 2 minutes. Nick.
Yes, not to go back to Picker there, but that was a wrong play. As Sonny said, they had him shot. They had a 4-man overlap. And he must be, again, asleep at the wheel. Not to be too critical on the man, but that was the wrong play. There's still plenty of time left. The repeat set would have been the call. But all of a sudden, the Rams coming out of their own half quite easily once again.
Withers with a kick from inside his own 40. It's taken by Gruber at tilt on the 30. He gets up over the 40. He'll be tackled on the half. Oh, it's a coat hanger. Oh, geez. Now, this is a bloke who was down and out cold a moment ago. He's got straight back up, so he's bounced up like the rubber man. Penalty on the halfway line, and... okay, they're going to start here. What have they got? 1 minute 39, and they've got 30 metres to go. What can they do with it? Well, Jordan Martin, first one to go, and he's outside the 20. And now another penalty. I'm looking forward to this penalty count at half-time. I won't steal your thunder, Sonny, but I reckon, despite the scoreboard, it'll be the Tuggeranong side who are well in front on the penalty count. They're outside the 20.
Take the 2. Get off the mark.
Get on the board.
Get off the mark. 1.5 minutes to go. They're going to take the tap.
Antonio, straight up the middle. He spins out of the first tackle. Mawala and Antonio going head-to-head. Now across to the right. Adu Tupou. He can't get inside the 10. The Rams really defending that 10-metre stripe as though it was the try line. Now the Bushies have got numbers to the left. If there's one more pass to the left, instead they go back to the right. They had the numbers to the left. They've hardly used the left edge. So they give it to Totu. Totu is taken on the 10. 2 of the count, directing traffic. Who's he give it to? Goes to the halfback, and then it comes across to Nachuki. Jamal Nachuki has 3 tries for the season. They all came in about 15 minutes in the space of 1 game earlier this year. And the kick through, that's fielded remarkably well by Jeff Morgan. And with 25 seconds left, well, will Woden be content to just run it out for the first half, or will they try and go the length of the field? I think the option is the second as Everston. He's a slippery customer. He takes it out to the 40. That's the 3rd tackle. Withers goes for a run from dummy half, kicks it. It's been knocked down and 6 again. So with 7 seconds left, that really won't matter. And Tuggeranong, they're going to lie all over these Woden players. I don't think they'll care too much about giving away the penalty. One more kick over the top. It bounces once, it bounces into the in-goal area, it bounces through the in-goal area. It's a dead ball, but 24-0 at half-time. I don't think there'd be too many people in this ground who are expecting a 24-0 scoreline at the break. Sonny Singh, I'll come to you in just a moment. Raider Nick, we're going to try and dispatch him down to the change rooms. He's a man who can get into any change room in any ground, but today might be a challenge. But Nick, very quickly, your thoughts at half-time?
Yeah, as we mentioned, the whole call has been all the Rams. They're just assuming the ascendancy in this big game on the back of Lincoln Withers, the man with experience, of course, 150 NRL games for that bloke. And it's quite transparent, guiding his team around, putting the right kicks in the corners. On the other hand, the minor premiers, they're playing with all the pressure at the moment. They're asked too many defensive patterns, a few mistakes coming out of their own ranks. And the score, 24 points to 0, quite transparent, and it indicates the Rams, they're in pole position, and it's going to be hard for them to mow down this loss. I see the Rams, they could go on with it this second half.
I think they just might. Raider Nick with us for our extra comments this afternoon on Grand Final Day. He's going to head down to the change rooms and see what he can find out from the coaches, from Ash Barnes and from Justin Giddo. But Sonny Singh, I said I was going to come to you for some stats, and I was particularly interested in the penalty count. What have you got for us at half-time?
We've got a 7-5 penalty count that the Rams have conceded 7, but I think 6 of those would probably be within their own 20-metre zone. So, defending their own 20-metre zone. But I mean, other than that, it's been almost a perfect half of football. You know, it's exactly what you're looking for in a grand final performance. They've completed 15 from 17 sets, and I think off the back of every time they've scored points, they've got down the other end, they've put a decent kick in, and they've made the Bushies work hard for any sort of ground that they make up. But on the other side of the coin, the Bushies, well, I mean, they've just done it to themselves so often today. You know, just drop ball, penalty after penalty. Like I said, we got a 5 penalties for the half, and they've dropped the ball 4 times, and a lot of those drop balls have been in key positions, and they just haven't been able to step up. And it's been a couple strange positional changes as well. I'm surprised Josh Mitchell went off after, I think it was about 20 minutes. Whether that was for injury or tactics, I'm not sure. But, you know, we're talking about their best player and their captain as well. That goes off quite early in a grand final.
They haven't looked... Actually, I'll say this about Tuggeranong now. They haven't looked the same free-flowing, super attacking side that we saw early in the season for quite some weeks. I'm not sure what's changed. And you said it before, and I think I said it a couple of weeks ago, and we've discussed this a couple of times. At some stage of this season, they went from the Bushrangers, the side that really have underachieved over time, to suddenly the top of the table side with the target on the back. They've gone from being the hunter to the hunted, and I just don't know if they've made that mental leap as well as they could have done. I
think a lot of their big-name players, I mean, look, there's still 40 minutes of football to play, and hey, if one side can score 24, so can we in another half. So, I mean, it's not over yet, and I think, you know, possession hopefully will even up in the second half, and we'll see a few more points scored for the Bushies to make it competitive. But I honestly think a bloke like Atu Tupou, he's the key to unlocking this Bushies attack, and he was the key for so much of their winning runs throughout the season. And when he was injured for a little while, it does coincide with when their slump began. And a lot of that comes down to his ball running and just how many defenders he's able to draw in himself. Because, I mean, you try tackling that bloke one-on-one, more often than not,
yeah.
he's going to run over the top of you. And when you're attracting 2 or 3 defenders yourself, it opens up the space for the people outside and inside you. And you just haven't seen enough of him running those lines today. So, you know, hopefully we see more of it in the second half. But I also think Mick Picker's got to step up. I know I've been really critical of his first half, but I think if you compare his performance to Lincoln's performance in that first half, and yes, Lincoln's had the advantage of working behind a forward pack that's just making just plenty of meterage up through the middle. Getting quick play the balls. We've already seen a couple tries today through just heads-up plays, through a quick play the ball from the dummy half. And it's probably not something that Mick's had the advantage of being able to take advantage of today. But he's got to step up. His kicking game's got to be better, and he's got to pick the better option in attack. I'm
just casting my mind back 2 weeks ago, second semi-final at Greenway, Tuggeranong versus Woden. Tuggeranong were, what was it, 14?
16-0 up they were.
16-0, and they went down 24-16. So since that midway through the first half of that game, they've gone now 100 minutes or so against Woden without scoring, and Woden have scored close enough to 50 points. There's something going on here where Woden have got their measure.
Well, this is completely different from how the other games this season have played out. Usually it's been a case of Tuggeranong getting out to a big lead and Woden chasing them down. The games between these two sides have been very much momentum swinging matches where one side has put on a batch of points and the other side has put on a batch of points. And we saw that in that major semi-final where the Bushies went 16-0 in front and then it was 24 unanswered points by Woden. And today, look, we see 24 points put on by Woden. You know, we might see something come in from Tuggeranong, but they're going to have to produce something that they haven't had to produce this season, and that might mean, you know, throwing the playbook out the window and just throwing the ball around a little bit more, because their attack is just looking so clunky when they get inside that 20-metre zone. And as you mentioned, this left edge doesn't look like it's had very much ball at all.
Well, I'm just trying to work this out mentally. When you go 12-0 down in a grand final and things aren't working for you as you want them to, as you've been trying so far, isn't that about the time to start trying something different? You don't want to keep going with the same game plan that's got you 12 points down.
I mean, I think you definitely trust the structures that have got you to this point of the season in the first place. But I think there comes a time when you've got to acknowledge that, hey, it's not working. They've got our measure. And again, it's why I kind of question why Josh Mitchell has been off the field for so long, because
maybe he's actually picked up an injury.
Maybe, but I mean, I know a lot of the Tuggies players are carrying injuries going into this game, but at the same time, he's so critical to their attack and their flow, and more often than not, he will pick the right option. And we've got a bloke in there in Blake Murray who's a very good half, but he's had a great breakout year. He's really benefited from having Mick Picker playing at halfback alongside him, but he's coming into a new role today of playing at dummy half, and Jack Heyman, we saw, you know, he was very good last week, but he's been a little bit quieter this week. It just doesn't look like it's clicking for them when they get inside the 20 and they've had their opportunities.
Well, grand finals always turn up stories, and there is still plenty of time left in this one for stories galore to be told. But as things stand, 24-0 to the Woden Valley Rams, who came into the finals seated second. Tuggeranong came in as minor premiers. But Sonny, I know you spent a lot of time burning the midnight oil this week, and you've got plenty of other stuff that you sort of picked up on the way in. Yeah.
Well, I did mention earlier that I've met with a couple of key people within both the clubs, and I've got to say it's an honour to meet some really genuine people within the Bushies and the Rams. So, as I mentioned, I met with Phil Watts, who's the secretary of the Tuggeranong Bushrangers, and we spoke a little bit about the club history and how, I guess, it's really, I want to give a shout out to the sponsors of the local clubs for both sides, because, you know, honestly, without their support, this doesn't happen. The clubs aren't able to pay their players. We're not able to have days out like this. I mean, this is fantastic. Like, there is no better place to be in Canberra than Seaford Oval today. It is absolutely phenomenal.
Even though it's in Queanbeyan.
Even though, I'll leave that one alone. But just an electric atmosphere. You know, the people have come out in numbers. Great turnout by the clubs, and you know, they've embraced the week as well. You know, as we mentioned, Woden haven't been in the grand final since 1996. Tuggeranong haven't been in one since 2007, and you know, this is foreign territory. It's a long time between drinks, and they've just absorbed everything that grand final week has to offer, and they've all jumped on board. We see some tremendous signage across from us, and we'll get you to read through a couple of them in a little while. But just the overall culture within the club, within both of these clubs over the last, you know, 5 to 10 years, it has changed dramatically, and it's really good for the local competition. You know, when you see, like, we went to the last week of the regular season this season, where we didn't know what the top four was going to look like.
I think we had 6 teams in contention. We had 2 points between first and fourth, or something like that. It was an incredibly close competition all the way through. You mentioned the signage. Get your kicks from Hicks. Robbo will do the jobbo. Beware the web of Keb. I don't think we've seen Keb Vato get in and make a monster tackle just yet. Sean is born for the win. Jeff put them in the morgue. You know, they've put some thought into this. They've had the craft night during the season. You can see it there. Raging Ronnie, number 8. Rangers can ram it. There's plenty more. The mission, the missing link. There we go. I don't think he's gone missing just yet.
There's some great ones out there, but I mean, look, a lot of these clubs have struggled through financial crisis over a number of years, and I mean, it used to be a point where you'd pay these players in beer coupons down at the locals. So
now, when was that for Woden? That was,
I think that was in 1981 from memory. Yeah, it was. I think you got 6 beer tickets for first grade and 4 for reserve grade and 2 for the 18. So we've come a long way since then, but I mean, for a side like Woden, we obviously it's been a long time since their last grand final, and we talked a little bit about why that it has been 22 years since that last run, and a lot of it came down to an ageing population in their catchment areas, but they've changed their focus over the last couple of years. There's been a real focus on the juniors, and they're really seeing the benefits of it now. A lot of the players that we see out there today, guys like Maloney, Robertson, Spencer, Everston, Moala, just to name a couple, these guys came through that junior development system. They played the 18s, and now they're here on the biggest stage in local football in Canberra.
Woden in grand finals, it's been horrendous for them, largely be at the hands of West Belconnen. In fact, they've only ever played West Belconnen in grand finals. 86 they played and lost, 88 they played and won, 89, 90 and 91 they played and lost, and 1996 they played and won. They've never played anyone other than West Belconnen in a grand final, the Woden Valley Rams.
How about that? It's a great stat.
That's a great stat. I can also say that Tuggeranong have only ever played haven't played anyone other than West Belconnen in a grand final, but they've only played in one, so it's not quite as remarkable.
Well, just on Tuggeranong, as disappointing as that first half was, I just want to say that their season in general, they've come so far, and a huge credit has got to go to Justin Gitto and Jeremy Braun, the coaching staff. They've just changed the culture at the club as we see the second half kick off now.
So it's Woden in the yellow and blue running to the left of your screen, and they get the ball to begin proceedings, and it's Junior Moala, the first man to take it up for them. He brings it up to the 20. Tuggeranong, they're playing well. Let's see if this continues. They've compressed the defensive line a little bit. Everyone is in, and they're over on the far side of the field. So that's a bit of a change, I think. They're not playing quite as spread out, so they're really going to try and shut down Woden faster in attack. It does, however, mean if Woden can be quick across the park, that they'll be able to get the ball around this Tuggeranong side. See what they can do. They bring it out to about the 40. So they're on their way through.
Got to say, from an entertainment standpoint, I would love to see the Bushies score first. We mentioned earlier in the call that Jeffrey Morgan himself has said that he doesn't think that the Rams have put in an 80-minute performance as of yet this season. So there will be opportunities in this Rams defensive line to put some points on. And if once you start to score 1 or 2, suddenly the nerves kick in and you start looking over at the scoreboard.
Well, we'll see if Raider Nick managed to actually get any of the inside goss from the change rooms at halftime. Did they let you in, Nick?
Yes, mate, that was a piece of cake getting in there, down there. I tell you what, Chris Coleman, look, in all seriousness, Justin Gitto still very confident, just that, get some polish about yourself. Don't be so rushy in your attack. Don't panic, but obviously be the next to score. He's got a few tricks up his sleeve, though, in regards to interchanges, where on the other side, total contrast, very, very calm and collective there. Ash Barnes, he just says, we've got this premiership, keep playing for each other, keep that brick wall of defence in line, and are we having a party tonight with the trophy?
Well, it really is theirs to lose as the Bushrangers kick down to the corner. And chasing after it is Hodge. He's a real excitement machine, this man. Gets past the outstretched arm of Liam Oakley for the tackle, but doesn't make too many more metres. Now it's with Dane Spencer, and Spencer, he's straight up the middle of the park. He's over the 20, he's up towards the 30, and he's carrying players with him on his back. Phenomenal effort there.
What a season he's had as well, Dane Spencer, and he's another one that was highlighted during the week. He was a man of the match in the major semi-final a couple of weeks ago, but he's come so far this season. He's managed to get over his injuries and get a full season under his belt. I think that's been the key for him.
It's amazing the value of playing every week. Ball popped out late in the tackle, and it's Cody Hodge who's got it. He might be off to the races. He's eluded one, eludes a second. And jumping on his back is Liam Oakley to bring him to ground. That's a try-saving tackle. Could be a season and a premiership-saving tackle. But the Rams, they're still going. It's Morgan. Ball's gone to ground and has been dived on by Matt Dragicic. And it'll be a handover and a changeover for the Tuggeranong Bushrangers. And they'll take the ball out from their own 10. That could have been good night, nurse. That's all she wrote.
Well, you called it, Chris. That they spread the ball wide early. It was a good cut-out pass to get Cody Hodge on the outside. And from there, it was just a good cover tackle from Liam Oakley.
Didn't take long for Woden to work out that Tuggeranong were playing a slightly more compressed defensive line. Was that something that they talked about there, about being up and in a little bit more in defence early, Nick?
Absolutely. That line speed was screamed about. Line speed, line speed, line speed. I was just about to say...
Oh, they've lost the ball.
They dodged a bullet there, and they've coughed opposition once again. They need to... You make your own luck. With the downhill run, the Bushrangers have got to really tap into that.
Is it downhill towards that end of the ground, is it?
It's downhill that way.
It's downhill that way, downhill to the right of screen.
Downhill to the right of screen.
Not as noticeable as at Lord's in London, but you're saying there's a slope here at Seaford?
Definitely.
Okay.
Should see how the drainage system is here.
Just on that, that's probably the first sign of a variation on the game plan from the Bushies. We saw a pass from the forward at the line and then an attempt at an offload, and we don't see a lot of it. See that pass look forward.
Wait and see what the referee signal. He says, yep, it's gone knock on from the Rams. So the Bushrangers should come up with the ball here from the scrum.
That's someone like the Bushrangers sorry, someone like the Rams in the first half. All of a sudden, 24-0 up, some complacency starts us creeping into the back of the mind. Ash Barnes won't be happy with that. That was just a basic shape they tried to run. No communication there from the back rower. Won't be happy with that, Ash Barnes.
Well, the Bushrangers, they've got it, and they'll bring it out from their own end. Just up with Francis Totu. And now Fabian Antonio. I think it's going to come down to Francis Totu, Fabian Antonio, and Adu Tupou. I think they're the three who are really going to need to just lift and lift and lift and go. And there's another one of them. That's Tupou. Easy to pick with the headband and the white boots.
Oh, that's a big hit.
Oh, Dragicic had that. He'd have no airlift in his lungs. He's taken a head straight in the belly there from Michael Gilmore, who went in low and hard on the tackle. That's Nachuki, manages to get the offload away, finds Picker. Picker looks around, eventually gives it to Mitchell. Mitchell with the kick through. Oh, get ready. This man is a real excitement machine, is Livino to the cow. To the cow, though, I think he put a foot over the touchline when he's flicked the ball back into the field of play, so it'll be a Woden ball. But they're just starting to get a little bit more free-flowing. We'll see this on the replay here. The kick comes through. You see him ask for it. Livo to the cow. He has the hand out in front of him. And he knocks it forward first before it goes and is flicked back into the field of play by, might have been Venisi who was in there, but doesn't matter who flicked it back into the field of play. It's a knock on and it's a Rams feed.
He got a wicked bounce there. It's a bit unfortunate, but yeah, as you mentioned, again, there's more variation on the standard structure that the Bushrangers usually employ. So I think we're in for an exciting second half.
Well, rugby league these days, it's not as predictable as it used to be. 24-0 at half time. Used to be regarded as an insurmountable score. And I remember there was a Raiders game in about 1987, I reckon it was, where they went up to Parramatta Stadium and they had a 24-0 lead at half time and they lost the game. I think it was 26-24.
That was down here.
No, there was one at Parramatta Stadium.
There was a similar one down here in 86. That was the likes of Peter Sterling and Brett Kenny.
You're right, it was 87, and it's a game that Don Furner said that Wayne Bennett coached the second half and Don Furner coached the first half.
Would have been plenty of that back then. But I tell you what, Sonny's right. They are looking a little bit more as a mistake there. That's a cold. See, it's the start. A few mistakes starting to really creep into the game now for the Rams.
Oh,
but he's overcalled that with a penalty. It's been tipped off by the pocket referee there.
I reckon Withers may have just helped to milk that in there as well. He certainly looked across and had a word to the referee. Let's just see what's happened here. He ducks under one. He gets the push. He gets the secondary push. He gets up to play it. And he says there's a hand in there. There might have been. It was a fairly ordinary carrier. There was a hand in there. But, well, that's NRL experience for you, I reckon, more than anything else.
Oh, no. Radio for Lincoln.
Been there, done that. Gee, those boots on Geiger stand out as the sun goes behind a cloud, don't they? The bright orange boots. And there's another set of them on Junior Moala. They can just sort of keep working it around in this corner of the field, and they're going to make it very, very difficult for their opponents. They don't need to score again at the moment, the Rams. They could actually just sort of run it up, 6 tackles and kick. They don't need to try anything fancy, but they pop it out the back to Kev Vato. What was the line on the banner? Beware the web of Keb. More applicable in defensive sets than offensive sets. There's only 5 out. They come across through Michael Gilmore, and Michael Gilmore just reaches out over the stripe and scores an easy try. That one really, really very, very easy. The old saying when he was playing was too easy, Campese, but Well, it doesn't quite have the same ring to it for Too Easy Gilmore, but we'll just check this on the replay in a second because that's...
that was wham bam, thank you, Ram.
Oh, I like that. It's too much speed.
That's too easy, far too easy. And yeah, he's one happy Gilmore. I don't know, not so sure about that kick at the end, but...
I tell you what, Justin Giddo, they spoke about it at half-time, gents, after comedy over there from Sonny. That was top shelf stuff there. Look, they spoke about the belief in your team, the fact that you're minor premiers for a reason, but that just all came out the window with some soft defence up the middle.
Well, Michael Gilmore.
I had an ice cream that soft this morning, I tell you what.
That's been possibly the most, not that there's a lot you can do about it in a grand final once the rot sets in, but I'm just looking at my notes here for the various tries. Ron Leopai at speed, Michael Geiger at speed, Adam Lucas kick knock on regather, so again it's close quarters. Michael Gilmore, that's probably the longest range try there's been, and he's run over from 10 metres out, but again just hit the ball at speed, and he's given Withers the easiest of conversions, and now it's 30-0. I'll say this, gents, you don't come back from 30-0 down in a grand final with only 32 minutes or 31 minutes to play.
Well, as you said, in this modern game, you can really fold back tries. You can score 3 tries in 5 minutes, but we're just not seeing any signs that the Bushrangers are capable of that this afternoon. They've been doing it all year. They can find something in the back pocket now. Look for blokes like Tua the Cow. He looks like he could cause some havoc down this edge, but they've got to get it to him. But once again, if I've got to be critical, Mick Picker, give him some caffeine or something. Needs to wake up a little bit.
Well, he needs a Monster energy drink. They come in the double-sized cans.
As you're consuming one as we speak.
Oh, I always have one before a game. I like to
get a bit more shares in those, I reckon.
I like to get a bit of bounce going for the call.
You see a short kick-off that does make the 10-metre zone, but unfortunately it's knocked on by the Bushies, so the Rams will get the ball on the 40-metre line.
When things start going wrong, they really do start going wrong and continue going that way. It has not been a good afternoon for the Bushrangers.
Do you think it's the occasion that's got to them? Or have they just run out of steam at this end of the season?
I think they ran out of steam about a month ago. No, they'd been very, very good, but they just, you said at the start of the day, you know, did they turn the corner when they came up against Gungahlin? And that Gungahlin side, and I know it's an odd thing to say about a side that finished a long way down the list, but for mine, the Gungahlin side, they came out that day, they just decided to play some entertaining, enterprising football. Tuggeranong had no answer, and I think perhaps they've been wondering how to get around it ever since, and they've forgotten about some of the stuff that got them there.
Well, I just think that, honestly, I think Tuggeranong are the best structured side in the competition. The problem that they have is when it doesn't work, there is no alternative plan.
Sounds like the Australian cricket team under Ricky Ponting, doesn't it? I may have used that line in the past as well. They're on their way forward again, the Rams. Withers goes for yet another high kick. This will be a hard one. There's players coming from everywhere for it. Gruber actually did well. He flew, bounced, spun 360 degrees and then ran another 15 metres before he was taken down. They need to score, and they need to score quickly.
We just feel sorry for Matt Gruber there. He's probably been the best performer for a beaten side. He got heavily belted in the first half. Took another shot up there and got hit again. But he's just been countless and every time there's been a bomb up there from Lincoln Withers, he's chewed them up and made about 10-20 metres coming out of trouble. Unfortunately for a beaten team, they're not following his lead.
Well, let's not count him out completely just yet.
6 to go.
6 again as the tackle is tapped to the ground.
Here he is.
So here we go. You mentioned this man just a moment ago, and unfortunately for...
penalty.
Oh, there we go. So the referee's called held, and then he's been dragged further into touch as Tua the Cow. Now, what's he going to get here? They've got a chance here to really make some distance.
They've slowed it down.
They needed to be fast, and I think the short ball was the wrong option. They could have kicked it down and started this play inside the 20. Instead, they're outside the 30. So it's Jamal Nachuki, and Nachuki takes it to the 20. They need to work the edges. Working up the middle's proved nothing for them through the course of the day, and that's why Oakley just runs into a wall of defenders and hits the ground hard. 11 out. Across to the left they go. It's with Picker. Picker pops the ball out, finds Tupou. Tupou, he's 4 metres out from the line. Make it 2 as he's finally brought to a halt. Where do they go? Oh, they've given it to one of their exciting players. And that's Matt Dragosic.
He's over.
Oh, he's over. He's gone over.
How's he got that down? He's drilled it straight through the man who's tackled him. There was no way he's going to been able to get that ball down, but he's just pushed and pushed and pushed. And before Oliver Levito's been able to call held, he's been able to sneak it through. And Matt Dragosic, he doesn't score many. One try in the books against his name for season 2018, but what a time to add your second when your team needs it the most. He gets it. And he takes on Junior Moala. And we'll take the referee's word for it. He was in the perfect position that he's got it down on the ground there. I love that as Dragosic comes up. Did you see where the ball was? It was in the clutches of Junior Moala. So it's just scraped the grass. That's all it's got to do. Where there's life, there's hope.
That's just brute strength. That close to the line. I was just about to commend Moala on what was a fantastic try-saving tackle. But as you said, Ollie Levato is probably in a better position than we are to see the ball on the ground. And it's a good try in the end.
Well, that's just showing signs that there's still fight in this Bushrangers team. 30 points to 6. They've opened their account. They've got off the duck egg. All it takes is another repeat set, back-to-back tries. If you get that scoreline within 18 striking distance, we could have a game on. Still plenty of time in this contest.
Josh Mitchell, by the way,
Rams starting to show a little bit of leaks in their attack. They're not as polished as they were in the first half. Looking a little tired as we see them walking back to the kick. Not in any hurry to get there. Let's hope for the game's sake that the Bushies can get some more points on the board.
I just want to say that try was pretty much set up from the run, the previous play by Atu Tupou. Again, it's him getting involved and drawing 3 or 4 defenders trying to tackle him, and he just makes the defensive line look that little bit more thin when you're taking a hit up next up.
Oh, fumble fest continues down there. 2 players have a crack at it and they both knock it backwards. So the Bushrangers, they live to fight again, as in at dummy half is Livin Tuathakau. He's rolled over, finally gets up to play the ball. This is the second tackle.
Wouldn't they love a penalty here?
Oh, that'd make life a lot easier for them. That's Venisi. They've only made it out to the 20 and they're on the 3rd. And now Hickson. They're still in their own end of the field. 40-20 kick would be interesting here. Well, they've probably gone too far outside to justify popping the ball back that far with Venisi. Last tackle. There they go. It comes back, and instead of going for the 40-20, interesting. The midfield bomb, and sitting underneath it, the capable hands of Dane Spencer. And Spencer then showing a clean pair of heels to Francis Totu on the first attempted tackle. Totu gets him up when he has to run around a secondary tackler and brings him to ground, but he's already outside his own 30. That's been the other thing. How many sets have Woden started outside their own 30, either at the first contact with the ball? Ooh.
It's dangerous.
This is a nasty one.
Yeah, referees picked it up straight away, but how many times have Woden started their sets either by catching the ball outside the 30 or being outside the 30 on their first tackle?
Well, after all that, a very careless attempted tackle there. Didn't need that. The pendulum's starting to shift their way, getting some momentum. They needed to go back-to-back with some points. It's going to be hard now.
Mike Murray flicking him over in the tackle there.
Welcome to Bushland.
He's up and okay, but...
Well, it's another piggyback out of their own end for the Rams, and, you know, just when you start to get a little bit of momentum on your side, suddenly you're under pressure again.
What's that penalty count running at now, Sonny?
Oh, well, we've had already 2 in this half for that the Bushrangers have conceded, so we're looking at 7 overall for the game.
And the Rams, they've got the ball and they're 35 out. They're on the far side. They could work it across the park if they wanted to. They don't. They just give it to Michael Geiger. Scored a great try in the first half. He's 25 out from the line.
Oh,
did I hear a whistle?
Bad knock on that one.
I heard a whistle. I thought I'd seen a little knock on and then heard the whistle and it was there. You can see another one of those great banners from the Woden supporters in the background on your screen there. God be with us. God be with us. Very, very clever.
Some very creative stuff here this afternoon.
Well, Nick, you called it earlier. The start of the second half has been anything but clean for the Rams. They're only completing at 50% at the moment, and a lot of the errors have just been unforced and, you know, not exactly under a lot of pressure.
We come out of it in the grand final, the intensity's high, the emotion's high, and all of a sudden the pressure valve just gets released after you're up by 30, and then you kind of fall back into automatic pilot, which your focus can kind of lapse at times. But at 30 points, that's a pretty decent cushion. But anything can happen in this game, and it usually does.
Mick Picker with a good run there. Goes for the dummy and then manages to creep up to the 30. They've got a couple of tackles left up their sleeve. And across to the far side through Murray. So that's interesting. We've got Mitchell playing to Murray a lot now. So they're both out there. We're in a dummy half. Started with Mitchell and then Murray was there. They're both out there. The kick comes from Picker across field. That's going to be an awkward one, and it's knocked back there for mine. 6 again, so the Bushrangers, they've got to realise they don't have to throw it around with a band in here. They've got 6 tackles from 12 metres out. The call came, and I'm sure that there had to be a secondary call because Mitchell looked like he was going to try and offload and then realised, so they picked up the penalty. Now, running at it is Dragicic. He's got 1 try. If he gets another one, won't his confidence be sky high? He plays the ball back, trying to burrow over is Mitchell. He's over the line. He's called held up. So that'll be the second tackle. No video referee. We'll just take our time here. NRL, that'll be that. I've got the second tackle. I have no try held up, but can you check for everything under the sun, including to see whether he ate his lunch while he was down there?
8.5 minutes later.
Now Nachuki.
He's over.
He scores his 4th try for the season. Oh, hello. Have the Rams spent all their pocket money? Or is it just consolation try time? We'll find out. There's 22 to go. There's 20 points the difference. So they're just keeping in front of that very, very dangerous equation. I've spoken about it previously. We'll come back to it in a second. Nachuki, well, he gets past the desperate defensive grabs of Dane Spencer and Sean Maloney and just able to reach out across the stripe and put it down. I've mentioned this a couple of times. When there's more points required than minutes remaining, you're in all sorts of trouble. And the Bushrangers, well, they're just keeping themselves on the right side of that ledger at the moment.
We talk about the Rams slowly parking the Ferrari in the garage. Well, you talk about going for a cruise. The Bushrangers, they seem to be having the momentum at the moment. They can taste points. They have all the ascendancy coming into the second half, and young Nachuki going over again. Of course, the younger brother of Omar and Muhammad that played for this club as well. His family will be proud of that performance. And 30 points to 12, that downhill run might be a little bit of an advantage for the Bushrangers. All of a sudden now another point on the board, 2 converted tries.
Well, we've talked about Jamal Nachuki over the last couple of weeks and how good of an impact player he is as opposed to a starting player. And there's always something that happens with him. He's always able to get an offload away or have a strong run similar to that. And again, he comes up trumps on this occasion.
Well, if Tuggeranong score next in the next couple of minutes, oh, how exciting is that going to be? They've got to do something. They leave it out the back for Gruber. And Gruber gives it to Dragicic, and Dragicic takes it to about 15 out. So first hurdle is that they haven't actually done anything silly on the restart. Now it's oops.
Oh.
As soon as I speak, they try and do something silly. Long ball, it winds up with Totu. They're lucky to still have possession of it, and possession is 9/10 of the law. Gruber from dummy half takes it to the 30 on the 3rd tackle.
The thing is, there's time, Chris. There's
There's
still
time.
20 minutes of football to play, and it's not like we've seen extraordinary tries scored. A lot of them have just been brute strength close to the line.
We haven't seen a long-range try. We've seen 2 tries from 10 metres.
Oops, here we go.
So the kick's gone down. Spencer waits for it to bounce a couple of times. Liam Oakley was closing on it like a hungry man on a Mars bar. But it was Spencer who got to it first. He takes the ball just outside the 30. Now it's being lay on there by Matt Dragicic. There's got to be a whistle go in here at some stage, or we've got 2 players both being equally as silly as each other. Now Oakley gets in and they pick up Josh Feeney and they slam him to the turf on the 30. Well, if nothing else, it's not going to be an armchair ride for the last 20. Tuggeranong, they've decided to throw, this is it. 20 minutes to go, they're going to throw the kitchen sink at the Rams. And their fans off to our right are going absolutely berserk. That was Gilmore on that run for the Rams. Now Maloney takes it up over halfway. Requires a secondary push from Mitchell to bring him to ground. Last tackle, says the ref. Lucas sends it back to Withers. Withers straight down the middle of the park. Gruber calls for it, takes it on the 10, straightens, goes to the 20, up the middle of the park, gets to the 30, gets another 5 metres in the tackle. He needs some players to get back on side. There's a few people walking back for Tuggeranong. Not a good sign for them. Two of the cow. Takes him to the 35. Getting set for a run here is Noah Vanisi. They ignore him instead. They come around the outside and give it to Jordan Martin. Loose carry, but he hangs on to it. 5 short of halfway. Who gets the go-forward task this time?
Oh, that's a great shot.
I think it was Dragicic before he was pounced upon. It was.
Josh Feeney with a massive hit there.
Big hit, little chip kick over. Withers is awake to it. Slides in, takes it on his belly, gets up, runs back from whence he came. Across to the other side of the park now with Geiger. Geiger pushes out of the first tackle, pushes out of the second tackle. Shaped to offload, realised it would have gone straight into the belly of Blake Murray and then held on to it.
Well, what was Lincoln Withers doing there?
I've got absolutely no idea, but I liked it.
You talked about the Australian cricket team earlier. I tell you what, he wouldn't look out of place at first slip with hands like that.
That was shades of Lincoln at the Dragons and the Tigers. And, of course, the Raiders, 37 years of age. Not looking a day younger.
Morgan at the run. And now it's Ronnie Leapai. A big first half did Ron Leapai. Lucas in at dummy half. They go across to the right again. Withers, dummies one way. Bounces out of the tackle. Yeah, almost out of the tackle. Eventually brought to ground. This will be the last. Which way do they go? They'll come across to the left, and then the kick will come from Maloney. Maloney with the grubber. Oh, hello!
Wow.
No, penalty.
Oh, penalty in there.
No, we got.
He's called it. I think he's
offside.
Offside. Would have been a great looking try. Instead, it's the Tuggeranong Bushrangers. Well, I don't know how many more things they can pull out of their hat, but they're hanging on. They're like a man on the edge of the cliff at the moment.
That's the kind of luck you need, though. A couple of disallowed tries there for the Rams, and now all of a sudden they've come here on the 50-metre line on the first tackle. Plenty of tackles left in this set, and they're already up to over the halfway line. If they can generate a repeat set or some points here with 15 to go, close to, very interesting back run home. Jeez, I hope they get over there.
Got to say, there was a great story in the Sydney Morning Herald earlier this season that Lincoln Withers actually had a coaching clinic with Sean Maloney 15 years ago as an 8-year-old. So, and now they're playing in the halves together.
Must have spotted the talent early, going for a charge as Noah Benisi. Oh, he's got the offload, and it's another try to the Bushrangers.
Boy, do we have a game.
Oh, do we have a game. Was it Matt Dragicic with a second? Well, he started on the bench. And now he's got a double, and he's kept his side alive, and they keep the equation in their favour. And that's the first real long-range try we've seen this afternoon. They're not messing around. They're coming in for the conversion. You watch for the conversion. I'll call it off the screen, Sonny. You keep an eye on what's happening on the field. You see there, Venisi. He pops it out the back door. Dragicic got it. So that's the first try I think we've seen that started from outside the 10-metre stripe.
And again, it's something different from the Bushies. They go away from their structure, a couple of offloads and passes at the line. Their forwards are a lot more willing to throw the ball at the line.
I'll tell you what, that front row, gentlemen, T. Venisi took an early knock in that first half. It was a little quiet, but it's been all T. Venisi.
Well, that's a big
he's
miss.
missed the kick.
That's a big miss.
That's unfortunate.
Wasn't the hardest of kicks. 30-16. Will that be the difference? The Rams, interestingly, by the way, during the course of the season, scored 32.3 points per game. 32.38 if you want to be really funny. But 32.3 points per game. So they've almost reached their average. Tuggeranong scored 30 per game. The Rams conceded 17.5 per game. So we're right about in that average territory now.
If there's any consolation to take from that misconversion, is it takes a field goal out of the equation for the next 15 minutes.
I'll tell you what, though, he should have kicked that one. Usually throws those ones over the skipper. 14-point ball game. All of a sudden, play catch-up football. You throw the game plan out the window and play what's in front of you. Bushrangers look like they play that athlete style of football with the likes of this fellow.
Woden have gone very, very quiet in the last few minutes, Sonny Singh.
And just on that conversion, you mentioned that Josh Mitchell didn't take long at all to get it set up and quickly take it. And
didn't need to.
Well, that's it. There's still 15 minutes of football to play, and two tries in 15 minutes is very, very easy to do.
What's that they say in soccer? It's pretty dangerous to be up 3-1. Similar approach you could say in Rugby League 12. But, I mean, it is 14. There's still a bit of a cushion there, but he comes up. There they go again.
Oh, here comes Dragicic. Dragicic, he gets past one. He spins around. He's still got the ball. The hat-trick's on for him if he can go another 10 metres, but he's brought down 8 out directly in front of the post.
Have to come right.
They've got to come right. They've got heaps of numbers right. They've gone the wrong way. Oh, geez, that was...
It's still on, though.
It's still on.
There you go.
It's over.
Oh, look at that. It's gone Tupu and Hickson, and it's Jaden Pollard who's got the try in the far corner. Well, they almost made a hash of it. They had all the numbers in the world on the right. They had no right to score that over in the left corner. You'll see it here. It's from the 12 to the 8, from Tupou to Hickson. And then he pops it out, and diving over as far as you possibly can be here at Seaford is Jaden Pollard. Try time Oh, grandstand finish coming up. 10 points the difference, 13 to go. Don't you love rugby league?
How good is this? This is what it's all about as Mitchell steps up. This one sneaks in.
Kicked it.
Misses the easiest one, kicks the hardest one in the lot. 8 points the difference, 13 minutes to go.
Well, how crucial was that last miss from the skipper there, but he lands that one from the touchline. 30 points becomes 8, 13 and a half to go. You talk about ascendancy, gents. It's all with the Bushies so far.
2 tries
Here we
in
go.
a minute. 2 tries in a minute.
Look, we spoke at half-time that the games between these two sides have always been played in patches. It's either been one side puts on a heap of points and then the other side puts on a heap of points.
I told you it was that downhill run.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Well,
you looked at me like I was a silly bugger.
it's one of those games. but what a game, what a comeback it's been from Tuggeranong. And again, it's just been off the back of throwing the ball around.
I tell you what, Sonny, I just saw that the trainer run out to young Jamal Nachuki there and gave him a big, wise message. Look for him to take a couple of big, monstering hit-ups in this set especially. He could be the danger man to really crack them open as they throw the ball wide.
It's with Gruber. 2 of the cow had a juggling take on the restart.
He deserves a try. He deserves a try, that guy.
And a penalty.
Gruber's got
Here
the
we go.
penalty.
That's the
Relieving
second best
penalty.
thing.
Mitchell will put them, you'd think, into attacking territory. Maybe half a metre short. No, right on the 50-metre line, right on the midway line. What have they got? Nachuki!
Here's your boy.
There he is.
And he pushes and pushes and takes them 10 metres into opposition territory on the first. Now they go left. And that's Hickson.
Watching Chuki again in this set.
Nachuki's to the right. Mitchell's looked to the left. He's given it to Dragicic. He's got a double, nearly had a hat-trick. He was only 8 metres short. Now Mitchell runs from dummy half. He makes 10. He's inside the 10. He's 5 out. He's 4 out. He's still going.
Wow.
He's still going. Look at them.
Again, opportunity right here if they come this way.
There's going to be some sore bodies in both these sides in the next couple of days.
Penalty.
Penalty just short. They take the quick tap, but the referee says, no, everyone's got to be set. You can't just do that. They come back to the 10. No, you've got to take the 6 first.
I tell you what, the advantage was almost just.
He's heard the call from the touchline. The coach, Giddo, has said, take the 2. They're taking
Really?
it.
Wow, they've had a chance to put on 3 tries in 4 minutes.
I guess you bring it down to just one converted play. So
Absolutely, that downhill run. They get down here again. All the takes out. They've got to score 3 times, so they're down here already. Make the most of the points on offer. 8 becomes 6.
I tell you what, I'm not one to be critical of refereeing, but I would have liked to have seen advantage played a little bit longer there because they had them absolutely shot to the right-hand side, and I think any sort of play the ball would have seen them score on this right edge.
Well, this is Mitchell getting a chance to make amends, isn't it? Because he messed up a conversion attempt from almost this exact spot no more than 3 minutes ago. He's got that one. So he's now 4 from 5 with the boot today. Withers is 4 from 4.
Wow.
Sorry, 5 from 5.
All of a sudden, when you're up by 30, and then you're up by 6.
Oh, I love it. This is the best grand final I've seen
The Bushies are in pole
outside
position.
of NRL level ever. I've not seen one this good. This is exciting now.
You two have been involved in a number of Raiders calls this season, so I think you're all across the come from behind miracle wins.
Yeah, we're not talking about any
Careful,
of those. There's only
careful,
one
Sonny.
of those you're allowed to bring up. They kick off, and once again they go to 2 of the cow. He gets a good handle on it. Takes his time. There's no panic about Tuggeranong. Can I say that? I've really liked that they have not shown any panic at any stage of this game.
There's plenty of time. Still 10 minutes to go in this contest. All it needs is 6. Oh, wow. Can they do it, gents? Can they do it?
Do we remember the last time the Rams had the ball?
About 7 minutes ago. It's been all dark blue since, with little flashes of white and red. And they're already into opposition territory. That's been pulled out for
It's a
mine.
penalty.
Had to be.
Wow.
No problem at all. And the call of held had been made as well. They give it to Nachuki. Nachuki, the human wrecking ball, takes it up to the 30.
Interesting not to kick for touch there.
Now they're across to the right. With Hickson, why would you give the opposition side even 5 seconds to catch their breath? They're trying to push him. Woden have tired. Tuggeranong, well, once they stop, I think they'll completely stop. This game goes to extra time. I don't know who I'd be picking. Mitchell from dummy half sends the ball across to Picker. Picker gives it outside to Blake Murray. Murray, it's back to Picker. Picker out the back door. It's a try.
No,
No, it's
he's
just
held
short.
up.
Oh!
He's held up.
There's an injury in back play. That's what the stoppage is for.
Oh, jeez.
I can't believe what I'm seeing, gents. 30-0 with all the ascendancy, all the bounce of the ball, everything going the way of the Rams. And now we look at the score, the clock at 9.5 to go, and it's 30-24. And like you mentioned, Sonny, when was the last time the Rams got their hand on the football and completed a set?
I do not recognise.
Game of two halves.
I don't recognise this Tuggeranong side. This is the first time we've seen them really branch out and throw the football around. I guess, you know,
they haven't done it all year.
They
have not done this all year.
And they haven't had a choice. This has been forced upon them, but gee, it's exciting to watch.
How close does he get here?
It's a big, big tackle. I think it's Bradley Martin down under.
It was Martin's done well to get his body underneath Blake Murray there, so Murray couldn't get the ball down. I know we saw the try earlier. It was the Jamal Nachuki try, wasn't it? There, basically, we thought from where we were looking, it looked like he'd actually forced it through a Woden Valley Rams player to ground the ball. On that occasion, it would have literally been the only way it could happen. So coming off, I think, is Tyson Hodge.
It is. Give them a chance to get their breath back.
So we'll clarify what happens if it does all tie up in a moment with 9 remaining.
I hope it goes to extra time. I don't want this to end.
I've called games to extra time before. I've very rarely had a voice left at the end of them. It was a Group 21 grand final actually a few years ago. Aberdeen versus, I reckon it was Scone. And Aberdeen won a premiership.
Nachuki.
He's over.
No, he's held up. Is he? No, he's lost it.
He's lost it.
To try.
He's given it.
Look out! He's not only scored a try, he scored it under the dot. We had everything happen there. Wait for the replay and check this out.
Wow.
Jamal Nachuki doesn't score often, but when he does, he scores in batches. It's almost an internet meme from a man with a glass of whiskey and a beard.
Wow. That man, Nachuki.
Here he comes. He just gets the ball. It's a beautiful ball from Mitchell. He gets down.
Absolutely, he gets that ball down.
I think initially holds up and then it bounces off and it bounces forward onto the ground. I think that's what Oliver Levito is saying in there. What do you reckon?
Absolutely. That's again, just strength and determination. I'm speechless, Chris.
Holy Nelly!
Somebody pinched me there. They're about to, at 30 points to nil, you thought pretty much the call would have been, if it gets to 50, gents, we're not going to McDonald's after the game. And now they're about to square the game up, and Nachuki, in the style of this game, burrowing over to put his team level. 30 points apiece with 7 minutes and a half to go.
I've never seen it, Nick. I've never seen one team score 30 and then another team score the next 30. I've never seen it. I've seen a million games of rugby league going back to when I could hardly walk, and I don't think I've ever seen it. This is amazing. If you've got friends who aren't watching this, give them a phone call. Tell them to get onto Bar TV and watch the next 7 minutes. This is as good as it gets.
This is unbelievable. The atmosphere here has changed dramatically as well. If you didn't think it could get any better, it is absolutely rocking in the grandstand.
They would have to be absolute panic stations over there in the Woden Valley Rams compound on the far side of the ground.
Well, my question for you two now is, now that they're back at 30-all, does the game plan change? Do you keep throwing the ball around, or do you start to play a little bit more simple?
Do what works. It's worked.
I think any message going to the Rams now won't be processed in a way. They're hanging on. It's all the Bushrangers.
We've heard nothing from the Bushrangers fans off to our right all afternoon here at Seaford Oval. Now the ground is shaking. I can feel my chair shaking to the cries of Bushies, Bushies. And on the far side of the ground, there are people chewing their fingernails down to the quick in the Woden Valley Rams compound, as we've got a player down in the middle of the park. 6:48 left, 30 points apiece. Now, extra time, you may have heard one of the helpers come down to say to confirm the extra time rules. We'll tell you what they are now so we don't have to get confused about it later. If it is all tied up, it'll be 5 minutes each way. And then if it's still tied after that, we go to golden point.
Ooh,
oh, that's just a hard tackle. That's just a big tackle. It's fair, it's heavy, it's big impact. That's rugby league for you. That's a shoulder into the chin, but it's all good. It's all legal as opposed to good. High ball, middle of the park, straight down to the fullback, and it's picked up by Dane Spencer.
And they've got the ball finally.
Watch the defensive wall now from the Bushies now to keep him down here.
Woden, they've shown no propensity to panic all afternoon. This is where, as a coach, as Ash Barnes or as Justin Kiddo, you earn your money in bush footy. You get to the end of the game. It's all on the line. Oh, geez, picked up and flipped over is Robertson. No penalty. Referee says play on.
That's a big run.
It's a big, huge push from Gilmore. He's up to halfway. He's had a try and he's had another one disallowed, I think, from memory this afternoon. Now they keep working the Rams. They haven't got a field goal kicker. They have not had got a field goal kicker in their side. There's only one man in the game who's kicked one this season, and that's Blake Murray in the 14 jersey for the Bushies. Gruber has it. Fields it with his own foot. Now he comes out to the 20. Totu in at dummy half. There's something we haven't seen all day. I think that was Pollard who was monstered. He's put down on the 20. Now Totu again. They're not making any ground on this set, Tuggeranong. Now it's with two at the cow. Pops one out the back. Secondary pass. Oh, it's over to Jamal Nachuki again. He spins around out of one, spins around out of the second. The crowd gets up on its feet, and then he goes to ground on the 40. Have they got a 40-20 kick here? They don't think about it. Instead, it's Mick Picker tries to run it, and he does, and he gets through one tackle.
Danger signs his half tackled on last tackle here.
So where do they go? To the middle of the park. And they run, and the kick comes over the top from Murray. He's flattened after he kicks it. It's fielded by Everston. Everston he goes. It's 12 on 12 at the moment. There's two players down in the middle of the park. Murray's up, Robertson's up. All is good. Back to 13 on 13. 4:48 left on the clock. Hodge, Cody Hodge, was an excitement machine for the Rams in the first half. He's hardly been sighted in the second 40.
Reckon they'll get a shot at field goal here in this set.
They could do. That's Geiger.
Withers rounding his troops, getting him towards the middle. He looks like he'll have a shot from far out, though.
The Bushies will keep charging up to try and keep the ball over on that far side. They've done so as well at this stage. That's Bradley Martin.
Here we go.
Let's look for Lincoln
Last
and Maloney.
tackle. Where do they go? It's with Lincoln Withers. That won't be successful.
Well, it has.
Oh, it is.
He's kicked it.
It's the wobbliest field goal attempt you'll see. But with 4 minutes remaining.
Cool, calm and collected there. The most experienced man on the field this afternoon. They've squandered a 30-point lead. It's got to 30 all, but cool, calm and collected. Directed his troops around the chess board and said, give me the ball. I'll put us in front by a point with 3.5 to go. But it looks like there'll be more turns in this game, gents.
And if ever we talk about just, I guess, a game of two halves, you look at that little play, the kick from the Bushies on the tackle before. You know, they try their luck with it with a little short dab in behind, and as a result, the Rams get the ball back and start the set 40 metres out, and then they go down the other end of the field and kick a field goal. It's
Wobbly old kick, and it's only just crept inside the right upright.
The shades of Brett Fitch in the origin. They look wobbly, they look wonky, but as long as they get over the black dot, that one did. But you're right there, Sonny, that was a bad play, the wrong play with all that possession.
And that comes down to Mick Picker being tackled on last tackle.
Unfortunate play there, but look, could be enough confidence with their tails in front. Looks like it's not going to be the last.
Well, the clock
piece
stopped.
of drama this afternoon. 3.5 to go in this one.
Tuggeranong, they don't worry about trying to get the ball back. They say, we'll play it down the other end and see if we can force a mistake from the Rams. So the Rams bring it out through Geiger. They've only got to hang on to the ball here, the Rams, and then kick the proverbial out of it at the end of this 6. And then make Tuggeranong go the length of the field. That's one thing we really haven't seen either side do much of today. March at the length of the field in a set of 6. Tuggeranong only have one man back. They're ready for the early kick if it comes. Gruber just standing just inside the 30 at the other end of the park at the moment. One point the difference. After we had 30 points the difference, then game squared up again. Now last tackle. Where's Withers? There he is. Kicks from just on halfway. And Gruber takes it. He's on the 20. There's a gap to his right, but he goes instead to the left. He's brought to ground on the 30. Well, what have you got, Bushies? You've got 2.5 minutes, and you've got to get it down there. Do they go for the field goal to square it up at 31? Penalty.
No, just
time off.
Got a Rams player down.
Probably slow down the clock, get the defensive line set up.
He's called time off. 2:22. It's Richie Beno time. 2:22 left on the clock, 1 point the difference. So what's happened in the tackle here?
Could be just a cramp or a stinger in that calf.
Oh, he goes down on it awkwardly.
Knee's a little bit caught under the player coming down.
Well, it gives us a chance to get our breath back.
Have we had all the twists and turns? I've never seen a game of football like this. I have never seen a game of football like this. We've seen 24 points all from one team in the first half. We've seen 37 points in the second half and 30 of those from the other team.
Well, 30 points to nil. You kind of thought they'd put the cue in the rack there and get ready for Mad Monday tomorrow. But we talk about showing character. For the team that came first for a reason, they've found that confidence. They've found that bag of tricks that got them to number one this year, and they've provided. Wow, to turn around 30 points in a grand final against quality opposition.
Yeah, I don't
marvellous effort that, if you want to talk about Richie Benno.
Exactly. I don't mean any disrespect, but with 2 and a bit minutes remaining, it's either get that player off the field or get him up and say you've got to go and limp back into the line. You can't sit here and hold a grand final up forever for a leg injury or a prospective leg injury. I can understand if it's a head injury or a potential neck, but for a leg injury, you've got to say to a player, get up or get off, haven't you?
I just want to say, for the Bushies this season, as great as they've been, if they're able to find the right balance next season with this structured football and this ad-lib football, they are going to be borderline impossible to beat. They're such a professional side with the way they attack, but today they've thrown out the playbook and they've looked just as good.
So he's off. They've brought him off. Ronnie Leapai comes back on, so that'll stiffen up your resolve in many ways. I don't think they're really going to be too worried about not having a dummy half out there at the moment, Woden, in losing Adam Lucas. 2 minutes and 14 remaining. Dragicic. Where's Nachuki? He's 2 off to the right. He's got time to get up to speed. If they come this way, they'll go the other. And the kick,
long-range
field goal.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to look up the definition of optimism, just go to the dictionary tomorrow, the new dictionary, and there'll be a photo of that field goal attempt. That was never on in 1,000 years. And now, Woden, they can take a lot of time here. Tuggeranong are going to get one more shot at this because by the time Woden play the ball on the 20, it'll be 90 seconds left. So it would have been a 48-metre field goal that needed about 10 metres more altitude on it. So Woden, they'll just run it out here. There's 1 minute and 35 remaining. And it'll be a 7-tackle set. So the count starts here. This is first tackle after the 0. 1:25 left on the clock. And again, Woden, they're not going to do anything silly. Leapai just charges in, and he'll take his time to get up as well. And across to the right they go. Withers thinks about passing, decides actually it's probably better to just be tackled with the ball. I can waste more time that way, and he does. He's down on the ground. 1,000, 2 1,000. See, 3 more seconds. We're into the last minute. How are you feeling, Rams fans? It's been a long time. But you're within 50 seconds of a premiership, the first one since 1996.
Well, we got a forward
pass.
40 seconds to go.
Here we go. It's all or nothing.
42,
Still time.
41. Scrum will be packed in record time by the Bushrangers. So they're all in.
Clock's still ticking.
35. Now the clock stops with 33 seconds remaining. The Rams still working out who's who and who goes where in the scrum. Bear in mind they've lost their number 9 in Lucas a minute ago to a knee injury.
Now, where are the rugby league gods looking at? Whose side are they on this afternoon? Are they on the Rams side or the Bushies side?
Well, the Bushies have it, and they're on their own 40, and they decide to spin it wide. It goes out to Totu. Totu puts it out over the far side. I think there might be Gruber down there. It's hard to tell. He's been flattened.
Pollard, that one.
Is it Pollard?
Give away
it
a
is.
penalty.
They come across to the right.
Got to work for one here.
Tupou inside the 40-metre line. They need to play it here with 11.
You've got to play
10,
the ball, mate.
9, 8, 7 seconds.
He might be offside
It
here.
comes to Hickson. Hickson out for the 30. They've got one more play. What have they got? Well, they've got to look for the field goal to try and tie it up at this point, and they've made a hash of it. Murray, he turns around. It's going to be awful. It's going to be flat. It's going to go dead in goal with a little bit of help from Dane Spencer. He doesn't care. And it's not quite turning on the light or turning off the lights for Harold Holt. But it's been a very, very long time. It's like slicing a cake for John Hewson, perhaps. their last premiership in 1996, and the Woden Valley Rams, they get home in about the most bizarre grand final I've ever seen, 31-30. You wouldn't believe they'd led 30-0 after 48 minutes, and at 72 minutes it was 30 points apiece. I'll come to you first, Raider Nick. I know you've seen a lot of footy, and you've seen a lot of footy on this ground. Have you ever seen anything like what we've seen this afternoon?
No, I haven't seen that at all, Chris Coleman. 24-0 at half-time, the Rams over the Bushrangers. They had all the ascendancy, all the control, and then an early try to get 30 points to nil, and we thought about and we spoke about the character of this Bushrangers team, the team that got the minor premiership. There must be a reason behind that, and they pulled the rabbit out of their hat and got to 30 apiece. And unfortunately, we spoke about at the start of the game, the most experienced man on the football field this afternoon, Lincoln Withers, cool, calm and collected, directed his troops to the middle, got them exactly where he wanted them, and he put the point over, 31 points to 30 with about 5 minutes to go. That was enough. And the Rams, let's turn the light on the porch there at Rams headquarters. They started their career over there at Phillip Oval there, Mike Lake on a stand, made their way to Curtin, and it's good to see a team with a passionate town of rugby league, Woden Valley, getting a flag.
Back over at Phillip, that's all they needed to do maybe. Go back and play their games back at their old spiritual home ground. Sonny Singh, you're sitting there shaking your head. You can't believe what you've watched this afternoon.
I can't. I'm honestly speechless at what we've witnessed here today.
Well, that's a first. I've known you for a long time. I've never known you to be speechless.
Look, first and foremost, congratulations to both sides for putting on probably one of the best grand finals I think this competition has ever seen. It was well and truly a game of two halves. The Rams running out to such a big lead, and by half time, you know, for all intents and purposes, you know, we called it done and dusted. And just that comeback and seeing the style of football that the Bushrangers, you know, employed to get back into the game was just phenomenal and so exciting to watch. And in the end, as you mentioned, Nick, it was just the big game players in Lincoln Withers to step up when the moment counted and kick the field goal and you know, give the Rams their first premiership since '96. What a game!
This is great scenes, of course, the fans, you know, all club stalwarts and patrons and anyone involved in the club running on the field with such jubilation. And it's great to see, likewise, for the Bushies. That's commiserations in defeat, gallant in defeat. I mean, they didn't show up in the first half. They were blown away in the first half. We thought a bit of nervous energy, a bit of grand final fright. But, gee, they turned it around and got to get back into the contest like that. And nearly, you know, if it wasn't for a better play towards the end, they could have still either been into Golden Point or with the win. And that just goes to show that they were the best two teams this year, but the best team won, one could say.
They will be so much better for this run come next year. You know, sometimes they say
this one's going to hurt too.
Well, sometimes they say you have to lose a grand final to win a grand final. And, well, you're right, they're going to remember this one. But I tell you what, as you mentioned, Nick, they did start very slowly and didn't do themselves any favours in that first half. And they'll learn a lot from this final series and also from the last month of football or so when they've become the side to beat in the competition.
Now, gents, I'm going to go downstairs once the presentations get underway, and we'll be wrapping up our live broadcast by taking the presentations here. So, Nick, I'll give you a minute to just get your thoughts together. Sonny, quick fire away with some of the numbers there from this afternoon from this fascinating Austbrokers International Canberra Raiders Cup Grand Final.
Sure thing. Well, that second half was amazing. As I mentioned, you know, that the Rams only had 6 sets of 6 in that. So they only completed 6 sets out of the 10 that they had. They gave away 4
10
penalties.
sets in the second half.
They only had 10 sets compared to the 15 that they had. Sorry, to the 17 that they had in the first half.
Wow.
So it was all Bushrangers, and we had a period there where we mentioned that we don't think they had the ball for 10 minutes or so. So yeah, kudos to them for holding out in the end, and yeah, what a game of football.
The scorers for this afternoon, we should give them all the credit that they deserve. For the Woden Valley Rams, it was tries to Michael Geiger, Josh Feeney, Ron Leopai, Adam Lucas and Michael Gilmore. Lincoln Withers went 5 from 5 with the boot and the wobbly 30-metre field goal that proved to be the difference between the sides. For the Tuggeranong Bushrangers, the bulk of their points coming off the bench. 2 tries to Matt Dragicic, 2 tries to Jamal Nachuki. The other try was Jaden Pollard and Mitchell. He converted 4 tries and had 1 penalty. And how important now that missed conversion from just a couple of metres to the right of the upright.
Well, very important there. You speak about players playing out of their skin. For the Bushrangers, Matt Gruber, of course, took that massive hit in the first half. We thought you can pack up the boots for him this afternoon. He's getting an early shower. Took up the next hit up, nearly lost his head as well. He was probably the best player on the field, one could say, especially in a beaten side. A young Jamal Nachuki. He's got a massive future in this game. Whether he stays at this level or he gets put into a roster, whether it's New South Wales Cup or even NRL, huge future. And of course, for the other team, the Rams, I've got to say, a favourite of mine. We mentioned at the start of the game, the most experienced man on the field, Lincoln Withers, put his team over the front, and that's what a good halfback does, gents. When your team needs it, he's there to get the win for them, number 7. He guided them around the park like the chessboard player that he is, and he pops the 1 point. Cool, calm and collected like they were up by 30. Congratulations to the Rams.
We are going to take you to the natural sound of the ground at the moment with Mark Vigano from the Canberra Region Rugby League, the Master of Ceremonies today. Can I say we need to congratulate a bloke with a name we haven't mentioned here, Noel Bissett. He's been involved in rugby league for, I think, something like 6 decades. He's been at the top of the tree here at the Canberra Region Rugby League for quite some time. Today, it's the end for him. He draws up stumps. And congratulations to you, Noel, as an official, both on and off the field, a man who refereed Winfield Cup games at this ground, who refereed matches for touring international sides here in Australia, and a real gentleman and a bloke who every time he sees me always stops and says g'day. He's never too busy to stop and say g'day. And Noel, whatever you do next, we wish you all the very best. Enjoy your retirement, mate. Sit back and watch some footy as a spectator. It's actually quite fun.
There's 3 crucial men that put rugby league on the map in Canberra. It's Donny Furner, it's John McIntyre, and it's Noel Blizzard.
Absolutely.
Congratulations,
Absolutely. Noel. Congratulations to Noel on a great career. So the presentation ceremony about to get underway. I don't think there's a lot more else that we need to say. Sonny Singh, it's been great to call some footy with you across the course of the season. Look forward to doing some more with you next year, and of course being involved with you at the Canberra Cavalry over summer. If you haven't got onto baseball, get onto that. That's going to be good fun. But Sonny, any final thoughts for today?
Oh, I just want to again just congratulate the Rams, and I know we haven't really spoken man of the match just yet. I think we kind of know who it's going to be, but I just want to, there's so many good players in the Rams side. Dane Spencer again continued his fantastic season, and Lincoln Withers, you don't need to say anything more on him, but also to the Bushies, fantastic season. You don't win the minor premiership without playing good football, and for a long time of this season they were the team to beat. And I think, as I mentioned before, if they get this combination right next season, they will be the team to beat again. Oh yeah, that's for sure. Now Raider Nick, we've been calling footy alongside each other in the Raiders commentary booth for Mix 106 on local radio here in Canberra during the course of this season. We've joined forces today for this one. We've got one more game to come, and I'll give you 30 seconds to explain what's happening. Now, this will be the Friday night here at Seaford Oval before the grand final, which I think is the 28th of September. And it is going to be, I've done one of these games before, it is going to be one hell of a night.
Saturday the 28th, you mentioned, Friday the 28th of September, massive event down here. The David Reid Holmes All-Stars up against Terry Campese Blues. And there is some massive names playing in the All-Stars. The likes of Bradley Clyde, the likes of Lincoln Withers, the guy we saw this afternoon, Michael Monaghan, Joel Monaghan, Glenn Buttress, the list goes on. Michael Wayman having a start. So pencil that in your calendar, folks. Friday night, 28th of September, pie in the sky, this huge event. It's all for charity too, by the way, so it's a great fun in the park as you lead up to the grand final. We'll be starved of rugby league here in Canberra for about a month, but also Bar TV will be broadcasting that game with a twist too, by the way, so we'll watch out for that one.
Don't. No, keep that. I've got a hunch about what it is. I don't want to spoil that one for anyone. That'll be a big surprise as it happens. But yeah, so the Friday night here at Seaford Oval, and the place will be, you thought it was packed today, wait till then. Am I right in saying the referee, probably the best known rugby league referee of all time?
Yep, there's a guy you may have heard of, Billy Harrigan, who'll be coming down and calling the shots. And of course, Malcolm Norman Meninga, the 13th Immortal, he'll be controlling and coaching the Dave Reid Home All-Stars, as well as Terry Campese, of course, being the captain coach, he'll be having a run. There's going to be an all-star lineup, the likes of Marcus Byer, the former Melbourne Storm player, Brett Mullins, Brett Hetherington, Toots Croker, lots of guys involved. It's going to be a great afternoon, I'll tell you what. And it ain't just a bit of a G-up kind of game. It ain't just a globetrotter game. It's going to be an absolute fair dinkum. Once that ball's kicked off, they're just rugby league players wanting to win. But anyway, gents, thanks for inviting me. It's been a great afternoon. Rugby league is the winner of the day, and it's great to see a standard like that of match of football in this beautiful town of Queanbeyan at Seaford Oval. Seaford Oval still lives on. And God bless rugby league, the greatest game of all. Hashtag let's talk the gamer.
Absolutely. It's been a long time since we haven't had a Queanbeyan side in a grand final. I can tell you, going from what these sides have turned up this afternoon, it might just be a little while before we get to see a Queanbeyan side in a grand final again, because these two sides have turned one on today. The Woden side, I think, next year are going to improve. I think this Tuggeranong side next year, they're going to do better. The West Belconnen side, let's not discount them. They put in a good late season charge. We've got two Queanbeyan sides that are doing very, very well. And they're building quietly, just nicely up the road at Yass too. So It's exciting. Belconnen United, they've already announced their first signing for next year. Another former Raider on their books. So that's great. Goulburn, they had some injury, some disappointment with injuries during the course of the season. Have I mentioned everybody now? Have I left anybody out? I think I've left one out. I'm going from memory.
Trying to remember off the top of my head now.
I think
the Blues and the Roos, I think we've commented on. The Yass, Goulburn,
yeah,
Gungahlin.
Oh, Gungahlin.
Gungahlin, of course.
Gungahlin, who came out a couple of weeks ago and knocked off this Tuggeranong Bushrangers side as well. And, off the back of their 30th anniversary celebrations this year, I've got a sneaking suspicion that they also are going to be able to draw a few more players. You want a picture of rude health for rugby league? I reckon right here in the nation's capital it's looking pretty good. And of course, with the Raiders showing that they are almost where they need to be, boy, 2019 is going to be a great year for rugby league in the capital.
Oh, we've got depth, of course. Rugby league, especially Queanbeyan, very strong rugby league town. And with a match like today, definitely showing that as well. It's a great turnout here as well. Perfect Sunday afternoon in spring, a Father's Day too, and everyone's shown up in droves. Give yourselves a pat on the back for coming out and making the spectacle that it was. What a great day.
Just one final compliment to both sides. We mentioned it earlier, just how dedicated they are to bringing up juniors through the ranks, and that's why we are where we are today. So congratulations to both sides.
No, indeed. We're going to go to the presentation in just a moment, so I think instead of waiting till the very end to do this, I'll say, keep an eye on the Canberra Region Rugby League Facebook and social media feeds for our post-match interviews, which will be up over the next day or so. And it is time to say thank you to everyone who's been involved in our commentary team today. Raider Nick on my right, Sonny Singh on my left. To Ryan Curran, who called a few games during the course of the season. And Ryan, thank you and great to have you on board. To everyone from Bar TV, the cast of thousands they've had working here on the Canberra Raiders Cup during the course of this season. It's been great to work with you guys. Look forward to doing some more with you, especially that pie in the sky game in a couple of weeks. To the Canberra Region Rugby League people who at the start of last season asked me if I could call one game of footy for them. Thank you. It's been an awful lot of fun, and I've got to say, Nick and I are up for, and a couple of colleagues at Nick's, we're up for a national award. None of that would have happened had that not happened at the start of last year, so I've got to say a big thank you to the CRRL for getting me on board for that. But thank you to everyone involved at the CRRL, and on behalf of them and everyone at Bar TV and our commentary team, this is Chris Coleman saying thank you for your company as we hand down to Mark Vigano for the presentation following the 2018 Austbrokers International Canberra Raiders Cup Grand Final, which was won by the Woden Valley Rams 31 points to 30.
With the Canberra Raiders Cup. So thank you for your support. And also acknowledgement to the Mawson Club.